ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Some of your top news stories of the afternoon. Bridgeport City Democratic Town Committee Vice Chair Wanda Jeter-Pataki is facing a total of 96 charges related to alleged absentee ballot fraud. Jeter-Pataki was arrested February 21st after turning herself in at State Police Troop G barracks. Several high-profile officials have come to Jeter-Pataki's defense, including party chairman Mario Testa, who said the public convicted her without due process and she deserves to have her day in court, as well as Mayor Joe Ganim, who said through a spokesperson Friday that he believes in due process and will not pressure any of those city officials arrested to resign or step aside. A lawsuit could derail an effort by the city of Stamford to buy a former YMCA property. The YMCA on Washington Boulevard has been closed for around a year and shares a building with the Lloyd Hotel. The lawsuit is filed by the owner of the hotel, alleging that the YMCA violated an agreement with the decision to sell to the city. The suit claims that Lloyd owner RMS Hotels has the right of first offer to buy the YMCA and seeks an injunction to stop the sale. Groton Democratic State Representative Andre Baumgardner was arrested for reckless driving and DUI. Police say Baumgardner was taken into custody early yesterday morning by Groton police and was released after being booked. House Speaker Matt Ritter says Baumgardner has been suspended from his assistant majority leader position and from his committee assignments. Baumgardner later issued a statement apologizing for the undisclosed actions that led to his arrest. And UConn star guard Paige Beckers has had her number added to the Huskies of Honor, joining the likes of Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, and the recently retired Diana Taurasi.
UConn women's basketball program has one benchmark for induction as a current student athlete into the Huskies of Honor, first team All-America status. Paige Beckers earned that stature as both a freshman and junior. So let us help welcome the newest member of the UConn Huskies of Honor, Paige Beckers.
This came after UConn defeated Marquette yesterday 92-57. Beckers had 19 points in that game, along with 7 assists and 3 steals. UConn is currently the number 1 seed in the Big East and will host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound construction, exits 11 through 16, left lane is out. Southbound side, road work from exit 40 down to exit 30, stay to the right to get through. On the Merritt Parkway, southbound side construction from Black Rock down to exit 42, stay to the left to get through. On the Wilbur Cross, north and southbound sides construction between exit 55 and exit 56. 91 southbound road work from exit 10 down to exit 8. Left lane is out. 825 connector northbound construction exit 1 through 2A and B. Left lane is blocked as well. 84 eastbound side construction exits 2 and 3. And further eastbound construction exits 16 and 17. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Pizzelli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, so as we kick off the week here on this Monday, the 3rd of March, 2025, how about we do this? It's a brand new complete month for us here at Connecticut today, a brand new week, going to get warm toward the end of the week. So what better time could we have picked here for another exciting edition of Did This Go Too Far? Or is it inappropriate? Or are you embarrassed? Or, hey, can you believe this guy? Whatever you want to call it. Shall we go ahead and do that today? I think at 2:09, it's a bonny thing to do. One of my favorite politicians of all time, because he gives me show prep material, as we call it in the business, every freaking day, Connecticut Democratic U.S. Senator Chris Murphy, whom we've been trying to get on this radio station for a long time. Won't come on. Jim Himes comes on. Richard Blumenthal comes on. But apparently one of our major D.C. folk who handle Connecticut's business in the world's most deliberative chambers, Chris Murphy, won't come on. What would I ask Senator Murphy? Or what would Melissa ask him? Or what would Lisa Wexler in the midday ask him if we were to be graced with his presence? Well, he might want to comment on this. Now, Friday, and we'll get back to this, the big dust-up at the White House with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Volodymyr Zelensky. So listen, we'll get into that. Some new stuff over the weekend on that. I've got some thoughts. Also, a lot of stuff on the Bridgeport election squabble going on. We'll get to that too. However, you tell me whether this was inappropriate, because Mr. Murphy is there on national television representing us in the state of Connecticut, in Fairfield County, in New Haven County, in Hartford County, in Litchfield County, all of the wonderful counties of our beautiful Constitution state, the real DPRC. If Mr. Murphy, you tell me if he was appropriate in calling the White House the arm of the Kremlin. Now, I understand that there's opposition out there. I get it. The Democrats try to make it as difficult as possible for the Republicans. The Republicans try to make it as difficult as possible for the Democrats. That's how the game is played. I get it. I understand that. But, you hear from Jim Himes primarily in the mornings with Melissa here on WICC for Fairfield County. You've heard from Richard Blumenthal in the mornings with Melissa, and when I fill in for Melissa, which I will again next week, and with Lisa Wexler in the midday. They seem measured, calibrated in their critique of the White House, and that's fine. Both sides go at it. But here you have Chris Murphy, who is clearly trying to stake out a presidential run, I think, in 2028, and God bless him if he wants to do that. Listen, the guy's got a seat for life. He's safe. He's just about the right age, good-looking guy, 51 years old, whatever. Popular around the state. He goes on his walk every year from a PR point of view. That's fine. And I get it that he's the opposition. But over the weekend, Chris Murphy said the White House is an arm of the Kremlin. Now, I will have that for you momentarily. You tell me, and again, our number, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Once again, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. If you want to call, or you can text. We rolled out the texting to that on the show the other day, so call or text at 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Straight ahead, I'll let you hear exactly what Senator Murphy said, and you tell me, is it just too much to say, no matter how much he agrees with President Trump, should a representative of the voters of Connecticut be allowed to say, or should he say with good conscience, that the White House is an arm of the Kremlin?
Put your finest green on and join WICC at the biggest and best St. Patrick's Day parades this season. This Saturday, March 8th, join Paul Piselli at the Norwalk St. Patrick's Day Parade, starting at 11. Get parade routes at voiceofct.com. Then load up on corned beef and cabbage and bring your entire family to enjoy floats, marching bands, and all this St. Patty's Day fun with WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Spring is in the air at Gusto Trattoria in Milford. For this season of Lent, come to Gusto for lunch or dinner and enjoy special pizzas, homemade pastas, and a thoughtful selection of freshly prepared fish specials. Plus, book Gusto's private party rooms for all your upcoming family celebrations and business events, and let Gusto handle all the details. Spring is in the air. Come enjoy it at Gusto Trattoria in Milford, 255 Boston Post Road, Milford. The art of Italian living. GustoTrattoria.com.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Columbia Dental invites you to come to their Norwalk office for your entire family's dental health. It is their mission to provide you with comprehensive dental care you and your family deserve. Visit Columbia Dental in Norwalk, located at 91 East Avenue, open 5 days a week, or visit their Manchester location at 483 Middle Turnpike West, open 7 days a week. Columbia Dental, here for you and your family for regular checkups or emergency visits. ColumbiaDental.com.
For over a century, Abriola Parkview Funeral Home in Trumbull has been a beacon of support and compassion for families navigating the profound challenges of grief and loss. Family owned since 1906, we are dedicated to helping you honor your loved ones with dignity and respect. Trust our experienced team to guide you through this difficult time, allowing you to celebrate a life well lived. Abriola.com, your legacy, our commitment.
Recently, 1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they might not have saved enough to retire. Pretty much adds up because the number one fear of planning for retirement is running out of money. So if you're ready to get serious about planning for your future, you could start by listening to Mastering Your Wealth with host David Gagnon of First Financial Planners. Tune in Saturday mornings at 8 right here on WICC 600. Also get more details online at masteringyourwealthradio.com.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound construction, exits 11 through 16, left lane is out. Southbound side, road work from exit 40 down to exit 30, stay to the right to get through. On the Merritt Parkway, southbound side construction from Black Rock down to exit 42, stay to the left to get through. On the Wilbur Cross, north and southbound sides construction between exit 55 and exit 56. 91 southbound road work from exit 10 down to exit 8, left lane is out. 825 connector northbound construction, exit 1 through 2A and B, left lane is blocked as well. 84 eastbound side construction, exits 2 and 3, and further eastbound construction, exits 16 and 17. Traffic report powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli. Now on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Open phones at 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Call or text to that number. Listen, I get being in the opposition. I understand it. The Democrats would be remiss if they didn't honestly criticize Donald Trump and the Trump White House. I get that. There's nothing wrong doing that. And obviously, the Republicans do the same thing. But at what level do you have to be responsible for what you say, right? The Democrats always say, well, look at what Trump says. He's reckless. And yes, sometimes he is reckless. And it drives me nuts. But is Chris Murphy for real here? Now, and look, the guy was going to be Secretary of State, likely under a Kamala Harris administration. So he's upset. He's cranked off. I get it. I understand it. But is this embarrassing to the state of Connecticut and to you voters in Fairfield and Hartford and New Haven counties who may have voted for this guy? So he's on the other day after the dust-up with Zelensky and Vance and Donald Trump. And by the way, the opening to Saturday Night Live with this was very funny. They nailed it, I thought. The people who were imitating everybody, and Elon Musk as well. But listen to what Chris Murphy said. And as a Connecticut voter, are you okay with this? Are you saying, yeah, go get it? Or are you saying, what? What in the heck are you talking about?
What's your reaction to what you just heard from the president's national security advisor? Do you think there's hope of salvaging this relationship with Ukraine?
So it is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
Huh? What? Wait a minute. What did you say, Senator?
What's your reaction to what you just heard from the president's national security advisor? Do you think there's hope of salvaging this relationship with Ukraine?
So it is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day you hear from the national security advisor, from the president of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war. That's essentially saying that Poland invaded Germany at the beginning of World War II. There are still facts in this world. And the fact is this: Vladimir Putin is a brutal dictator. Russia started this war. And the entire pretext for that meeting yesterday was an attempt to rewrite history in order to sign a deal with Putin that hands Putin Ukraine. That is disastrous for U.S. national security. That means that China will be on the march. Putin may not stop. America may be at war with a nuclear power.
Okay, we'll go back to that later. Well, what's his idea? You see, look, I'm all for criticizing Trump. I get it. An arm of the Kremlin. Why? Why would Donald Trump be an arm of the Kremlin? And why does Chris Murphy say this? Well, number one, you don't think arm of the Kremlin was focus grouped? I mean, come on, Senator. Arm of the Kremlin. Stop. What's his idea for ending the war? And again, this is the thing that was making my head explode all over the weekend. Trump sucks. Trump's this. Trump's Putin's lap boy. Okay, what's your idea? And I'm not saying Trump is right. I'm not saying that. Arm of the Kremlin? Really? Who comes up with that? Arm of the Kremlin. Come on. Jeez. Now, we'll play a little bit more of that later, and kudos to Dana Bash, where she says, hey, but this, that, and the other. And, you hear Chris Murphy kind of back off once he gets the talking points out there. Come on. Arm of the Kremlin? Stop. Jeez. Again, this is all focus grouped. Carol in Orange leads us off today. Hi, Carol. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
What's up, Carol? Yeah, what do you got for us?
Well, Chris Murphy, he won't come on your show because you might question him about his psychotic comments. I've emailed him several times about how he's embarrassing the state of Connecticut, but he doesn't even answer constituents' emails.
No answer from his office, Carol? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, nothing.
Well, yeah. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate it. I mean, at least answer the woman's email. Jeez. Come on. Arm of the Kremlin? Stop the Kremlin. That's the big thing now. Hey, what word do we try this week? Succotash? No, that won't work. How about Kremlin? Mike in Trumbull's here. Mike, good afternoon, sir. How are you on this Monday?
Good, Paul. Good. Hey, you know what? When I first saw the Zelensky and Vance and Trump showdown there in the Oval Office, I thought maybe they were a little rough on him. Then I find out when I read Michael Goodwin's article from the New York Post that Senator Murphy got to him first, poisoned his mind.
Uh-huh.
And when he got in here, he was all defensive and all rude and everything. And I was like, wait a minute. Do you remember the first term that Trump, the first 4 years, Murphy went to Iran. You remember that?
Yeah.
He went to Iran?
Yeah.
But this is the second time now he's pulling this.
And Mike, if you notice in that article, Murphy wasn't shy about it. He says, hey, we just got out of a meeting and Zelensky's going to do this. And Zelensky, really, Senator, really?
Yeah, this is before he went. This is before he met with Trump.
I know.
So he was all. This guy. He doesn't answer my calls or emails or none either. You know, and he knows me a little bit. I know Blumenthal better, but
at least,
unbelievable.
And you know what? Thank you, Mike. At least Senator Blumenthal's a little more measured in his criticism. But come on, arm of the Kremlin. Come on, that's all focus grouped, folks, and both parties do it. Please. Now listen, he's got a right to say that, but after a while, you become so crazed that people say, oh, again, which diminishes your message. See, the bloviating by both sides hurts their message. Got a text here, and you can text us at 203-333-9422. Text message, Senator Murphy has as much right to say that the White House is in the arm of the Kremlin as Donald J. Trump has a right to do all the name-calling, mocking, and outright lying he spews. Connecticut voters elected Senator Murphy knowing his background and feelings. He was chosen by us to represent us, just as DJT was chosen, unfortunately, by some Americans to represent them. Okay. But the point I would say to that is, the more hyperbolic you are, appealing to your base, the less you become believable to the other side. And by the way, you notice that, and again, there's no getting away from this. Every article you read, the New York Times, the Atlantic, the New Yorker, USA Today, Chris Murphy from here in Connecticut is kind of been named the designated attack dog here. So did he go a little too far? Maybe you don't like Trump and you hate him, but you say to Chris Murphy, hey, Chris, you know, you're right on the edge there of appealing to people, but also, is this a turnoff? Now, again, he can say whatever he wants. I get it. But there's already articles coming out now in the right-wing press. Somebody said it the other day. They said, well, I guess the Dems have recycled Hillary Clinton, and now it's Chris Murphy. So you tell me. Calling the White House the arm of the Kremlin. You okay with that? You cheering that? Or do you look at that, do you wince and say, look, Chris, I don't like Trump, but that's a little much.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound construction, exits 11 through 16, left lane is out. Southbound side, road work from exit 40 down to exit 30, stay to the right to get through. On the Merritt Parkway, southbound side construction from Black Rock down to exit 42, stay to the left to get through. On the Wilbur Cross, north and southbound sides construction between exit 55 and exit 56. 91 southbound road work from exit 10 down to exit 8. Left lane is out. 825 connector northbound construction, exit 1 through 2A and B. Left lane is blocked as well. 84 eastbound side construction, exits 2 and 3. And further eastbound construction, exits 16 and 17. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
The Connecticut Lottery reminds you that gambling can be a fun form of entertainment, but it's not risk-free, so it's important to play responsibly. Make sure you understand how the games work. Know the odds, set time limits, and take breaks. To find out more, visit ctlottery.org or responsibleplayct.org. Must be 18 or older to purchase lottery and 21 or older to place sports wagers. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Eyes Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Absolutely. Hey, we got news and traffic and weather together coming up. 333-9422. Put a 203 in front of it. Call us up here, or you can text us now. So if you want to do voice to text instead of or including email, you can do that at 333-9422. Did Chris Murphy cross a line here? And again, I fully expect every Democrat in the House and Senate not to like Trump. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. But isn't Senator Murphy of the party who always says we have to turn down the rhetoric a little bit here? Well, is calling the White House an arm of the Kremlin? Which, by the way, no other Democrat is close to saying. They've said some pretty caustic stuff. But only Chris Murphy says this.
What's your reaction to what you just heard from the president's national security advisor? Do you think there's hope of salvaging this relationship with Ukraine?
So it is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
Oh, really? Arm of the Kremlin. Senator, with all due respect, and I do respect you, I wish you'd come here on the radio station. You won't. What's your idea? And I mean, you were almost Secretary of State, according to what, the Washington Post was saying, Politico, The Hill, everybody's saying it was almost, Secretary of State Chris Murphy. So, Senator, with all due respect, what might be, your idea for ending this whole thing?
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. The Vatican says the Pope suffered more breathing issues today, and he's back on a ventilator, and his prognosis remains guarded. Hundreds have gathered outside NOAA headquarters to protest job cuts there. Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen.
We will not allow the illegal actions of Elon Musk to stand. Are we going to let that stand? Oh, hell no.
An Illinois man has pleaded guilty to killing 7 people and injuring dozens more when he opened fire on an Independence Day parade in Chicago.
The 24-year-old has pleaded guilty to all 69 counts against him. That's 21 counts of murder and 48 counts of attempted murder.
Firefighting crews have made progress against wildfires in the Carolinas that were fueled by dry conditions and strong winds.
Between the police and the planes and the cars and fire engines, and it's new to us.
CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Some of your top news stories of the afternoon. In a CNN interview yesterday on State of the Nation, Senator Chris Murphy said the White House is, quote, an arm of the Kremlin. His comments followed Friday's Oval Office clash between President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Connecticut Democrat said Trump and his national security team are using Kremlin talking points on a daily basis. Stratford planners have again rejected the proposed 129-unit apartment complex at the Merit 8 Corporate Park. The developer has been seeking to build a 4-story apartment building at the complex on Hawley Lane. Town planners have rejected the proposal over concerns about the impact it could have on area wetlands. Over 700 Stratford residents have signed a petition seeking to block the project and recommending that the property be sold to a land trust. The Bridgeport Police Department has appointed Paul Gretsch and Frank Capozzi as assistant chiefs. Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim, along with Police Chief Roderick Porter, announced the appointment late last week. Gretsch has been a member of the department since 2000 and is credited with creating an effective community-based crime prevention unit, as well as being the officer in charge of school security since 2012. Capozzi spent 25 years with the Waterbury Police Department and has a master's in public administration from the University of New Haven. Capozzi is also a Marine Corps veteran. A rally took place earlier this morning with Connecticut veterans and VA employees protesting recent job cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The layoffs are a result of efforts by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, to shrink the size of the federal government. The VA office dismissed over 1,400 employees last week. According to the VA, the cut employees were on probationary status and had served less than 2 years in their positions. This morning, Governor Ned Lamont held a press conference in which one of the talking points was announcing a plan to eliminate fees that workers in certain professions must pay to acquire occupational licenses. The plan would also eliminate the fees associated with renewing those licenses. That was a major point in his budget address in February, in which the governor proposed this measure as a way of keeping workers here in the state.
College or not, we need you here. It'll make it easier for you to stay here. I say that to nurses and dental hygienists and therapists and electricians and plumbers and HVAC and sheet metal workers and teachers. We're eliminating all your licensing fees. Eliminating them. It's another reason to start your career in Connecticut. Another reason to stay in Connecticut.
If approved by the General Assembly, the plan would save Connecticut taxpayers almost $19 million in 2026 and $25 million in 2027. The bill would impact workers in a variety of fields, such as education, healthcare, and skilled labor. Connecticut officials are preparing for the possible loss of federal funding for school meals in the state. Recent efforts by the Trump administration to freeze funds for various programs have raised concerns that school meals could face cuts. State officials say it appears that school meal money is safe for now, and they are monitoring the situation for any possible changes. They say studies show that students who participate in school breakfast programs have better academic performance and attendance. The state legislature is considering a bill that would ban bird hunting in the Morris Cove section of New Haven. Residents in the Shoreline neighborhood say people firing guns at waterfowl from boats are impacting their quality of life. Mayor Justin Elliker has expressed support for the bill, saying hunting should not take place in a densely populated city like New Haven. The bill is currently being considered by the legislature's Environment Committee. And a 240-space parking garage in downtown Bridgeport that closed in 2023 for renovations is set to reopen this month. The 90,000-square-foot City Trust garage has received around $2 million in renovations. The work was performed after the city urged the new property owner to address crumbling concrete, lighting problems, and other issues. City officials are pleased the garage will again provide a safe and affordable downtown parking option. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound construction, exits 11 through 16, left lane is out. Southbound side, road work from exit 40 down to exit 30, stay to the right to get through. On the Merritt Parkway, southbound side construction from Black Rock down to exit 42, stay to the left to get through. On the Wilbur Cross, north and southbound sides construction between exit 55 and exit 56. 91 southbound road work from exit 10 down to exit 8, left lane is out. 825 connector northbound construction, exit 1 through 2A and B, left lane is blocked as well. 84 eastbound side construction, exits 2 and 3, and further eastbound construction, exits 16 and 17. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Keeping you up to date on everything that matters. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9. The voice of Connecticut.
All right, what do you think here? 203-333-9422, 333 WICC. And again, the issue is not Chris Murphy opposing the White House or Richard Blumenthal opposing the White House or Jim Himes or Rosa DeLauro or Johanna Hayes or John Larson or Joe Courtney. That's not the issue. That's what you expect the Democrats to do, and that's what you expect Republicans to do if it's a Democratic administration. Hello, Clyde, that ain't breaking news here. But an arm of the Kremlin, stop it. Here's the bottom line, and I've got a I've got a soundbite coming up to counter what Chris Murphy said about the White House being an arm of the Kremlin, which obviously is a arm. Trust me, folks, I've done marketing and media for a long enough time. That's a researched line there. What could we say? Arm of the Kremlin. And that's fine. Both parties research stuff. But the bottom line is this. What's his idea? See, this whole thing of the Democrats' heads exploding over the weekend about what happened. And again, I was accused, you love Trump, you love what he did. No, I didn't. And I asked this one person on social media the other day, did you hear my show at all Friday? Or are you just assuming things and, yes, being an ass? I am able to multitask here. I can compartmentalize. I can, throw the president under the bus and the vice president under the bus and Dick Blumenthal and Chris Murphy for talking nonsense. But I've got a bite from Marco Rubio coming up where Rubio basically said we're trying to schmooze the guy and get Putin to the table here, which he's never been to. So again, maybe the whole thing will turn out to be a disaster. But arm of the Kremlin, stop. Senator, you're embarrassing yourself. Arm of the Kremlin, stop. Where's your policy idea on the whole thing? Seriously, one thing I can't stand, just the way I took off after Republicans, folks, you remember when I was working in Hartford. Get rid of Obamacare. And I said, replace it with what? Do you have an idea? Well, we're going to make a better system. No, make a better system isn't an idea. Come back to me when you've got some sense between your ears. Tom is in Trumbull this afternoon. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Good. Hello.
Tom, you're on, but you're on, baby. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of Ames being a little bit off the edge, Murphy, what about Trump saying that the Ukrainian president was a dictator?
Yeah, he's off the edge on that too. Absolutely.
Yeah, but there hasn't been an account of that. Is that just Trump being Trump, the idiot himself, or then he retracted? He goes, it's Friday. You heard. He goes, "Did I say that? I don't know why I would say that. I mean, come on. How do you think the guy's supposed to be receptive when you belittle him like that and say that he's a dictator? Where does that come from? That he started the war.
Yeah. But Tom, I said that. It was a dumb thing to say. What does this have to do with what Chris Murphy said? Tom, do you really think, Tom, the White House is an arm of the Kremlin?
No, I don't. Oh. I don't think that. Okay. I don't think the other guy's a dictator either.
Yeah. I don't know, Tom. Tom, I agree with you. Thanks, folks. Tom, listen, we can agree on that. See, we can agree on both things. Oh, my God. But again, with this whole thing and all the, see, Murphy knows, and to a lesser extent, Dick Blumenthal and Jim Himes, Mr. Himes really keeps his nose out of this whole thing. The House really doesn't go nuts on this thing. They know that if Zelensky in the next month or two actually signs something, then the whole arm of the Kremlin thing is basically a moot point. Maybe. 203-333-9422. But arm of the Kremlin, stop. Ron in Trumbull's here. Hello, Ron. How are you?
You know what? That's a treasonous statement. He's in essence calling the president a traitor.
Yeah.
How stupid can that be?
Oh, but I've heard that. I've heard that for the past 8 years. I've heard that, Ron, for the past 8 years. Yeah.
I remember when he ran for a couple of different positions in the Valley, and he couldn't get elected dog catcher. Now he's a senator? What's going on here? This guy's got... I've always thought of him as a lightweight, and he's never done anything to change my mind.
He's running for president, Ron. Trust me. Maybe not in 2024. Oh, I'm telling you. You may see it, Ron. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Oh, no, listen. And that's not just me saying it. And God bless Senator Murphy. Good for him. Everybody, whether you're a member of Congress, whether you're a talk show host, whatever, you always want to get more money, higher position, bigger market, bigger sway. I get it. I understand it. But how exactly does arm of the Kremlin help? Now, look, I will say again, what Trump did and what Vance did, although the hardcore right wing of the country likes it, to me, it wasn't productive. But you know what? They still need the U.S. for any deal. But again, and we've got a bunch of texts I'll get to here momentarily, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC, call or text. Are you applauding Chris Murphy calling the White House an arm of the Kremlin, or do you think that maybe it goes a little too far?
When you want the top Connecticut headlines when you wake up, you know to come to one place. That's Melissa in the Morning. Live interviews with local leaders and breaking news. You've got it on Melissa in the Morning. Plus, traffic and weather every 10 minutes. Melissa in the Morning is everything you need on your ride into work. Melissa Sheketoff, every weekday from 5 to 10 on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9.
AB's Falafel announces this $16 weekday lunch special. Come for lunch and enjoy the most flavorful falafel sandwich, chicken shawarma sandwich, or beef shawarma sandwich, all served on a fresh pita with fries and a soda for only $16. AB's Falafel is consistently voted best Middle Eastern food in Connecticut. Now offering a complete weekday lunch special for only $16. Come have lunch at AB's Falafel, 10 Broadway Road, Trumbull, and absfalafel.com.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound construction, exits 11 through 16, left lane is out. Southbound side, road work from exit 40 down to exit 30, stay to the right to get through. On the Merritt Parkway, southbound side construction from Black Rock down to exit 42, stay to the left to get through. On the Wilbur Cross, north and southbound sides construction between exit 55 and exit 56. 91 southbound road work from exit 10 down to exit 8. Left lane is out. 825 connector northbound construction, exit 1 through 2A and B. Left lane is blocked as well. 84 eastbound side construction, exits 2 and 3. And further eastbound construction, exits 16 and 17. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Everything you need to know to stay informed. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli is back on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points.
All right, there's Chris Murphy. What do you think? 203-333-9422, a text message here. We mentioned this one. Senator Murphy has as much right to say that the White House is an arm of the Kremlin as Donald J. Trump has a right to do all his name-calling and mocking. Another one here. What about Chris Murphy and the Biden's deals with Russia? Does he have anything to say about that? Another message. When you considered everything that the president is doing, leaving no alternative but to think what Mr. Murphy has said is absolutely true. Also, another one here. Chris Murphy has to put on his big boy pants and attend tomorrow night's speech and participate in democracy, represent all Connecticut residents. And what that's referring to is, I think Murphy said he either was not going or was undecided to go. I don't know. You think Trump cares? I mean, honestly. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. And my only point is, if you're going to be a sitting member of Congress and say the White House is an arm of the Kremlin, do you have intelligence on that, Senator? Have you been told anything in a committee meeting to say that? Or is this just, and listen, it's worked. We're talking about it. Chris Williams in the newsroom just said to me on the intercom, hey, that phrase has made it onto the wire services. So maybe I'm the dummy here. Maybe Chris Murphy is the smart guy because his party doesn't have a platform here, and they admit it. I saw 5 or 6 articles over the weekend from The Hill and Politico and everybody. Democrats stymied. They don't know what to do. So sometimes you just light a little explosive, a little cherry bomb, and it works for you. Got a bunch of calls here, so let's get through them quick before the news. Henry's up. Henry, what's up?
Paulie, just let me stay on for a half a minute before you hang up on me. I don't know what better. Did you listen to the conversation that they were having and how Vance kept chiming in?
Yeah.
And then when they show countless, at least 20.
Yeah.
At least 20. What do you call it? Tapes of Vance actually in Ukraine when they were invaded or when they invaded Russia.
Yeah.
Totally on their side. Totally 100% on their side. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
You saw all that stuff?
Yeah.
So now after the conversation that you also witnessed, how can you want to use a different word?
Well, listen, Henry, do you believe I'll ask you a question. I'll ask you a question. Do you think the White House do you still think the White House is an arm of the Kremlin? Yes or no?
What word do you want to use?
Henry, have a good day, buddy. Have a good day. Have a nice day. Right? What's so hard? Jimmy in Stratford. Hello, Jimmy.
How you doing today, Paul?
Oh, Jimmy, I'm thinking about law school today. No, what's going on?
Listen, I really admire the job that Trump's doing for the country. I think he's doing a lot of good. But I really think he got caught with his pants down with Zelensky.
It was a bad look. It was bad.
It was terrible. Russia's the bad guy, and he made it seem like, he's the good guy, which, in fact, he is. He's just caught in an awkward position.
Mm-hmm.
He was not supposed to discuss this on TV. He was supposed to come, sign the papers, and then when he started putting his 2 cents in, that wasn't what this whole thing was about. If he wanted to discuss it, they should have done that behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It was a terrible on Zelensky's part. He just lost a friend in the current White House. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
He made Trump look bad.
Yeah, Jimmy, thank you. Jimmy, I do have to run. Thank you. And to that point, Jimmy, you're reading stuff now about, you're right, Jimmy, this discussion was never supposed to happen in front of cameras. I guess Zelensky's chief of staff pushed him to do it in front of cameras, and this gave him an opportunity to him and Vance getting back and forth. Look, listen, you're right, Jimmy. This turned out, this is a bad look. I'm not arguing that to Jimmy and to Henry and everybody. To me, at least on the surface, Trump screwed up here. Now, the more you get into this deal, you say to yourself, well, and this is what even some of Trump's detractors were saying over the weekend, he's trying to schmooze Putin. And I know it's a harsh word to use. The guy's a cutthroat, ruthless, murdering dictator. But you got to get him to the table. Nothing will happen until you get a guy to the table. And some tactician over the weekend, I read, he was quoted as saying, listen, in this kind of situation, sometimes you schmooze the guy who's winning. Sometimes, and no matter how bad of a guy he or she may be, or she or he may be, yeah, they're bad, but they control the situation. Yeah, Trump, to me, it was not a good look, and I'm wondering, what's he doing? But you heard what he said, and look, maybe he is saying this stuff to get on Putin's good side, to say, okay, listen, I said this in public about him, now you got to come to the table. Maybe. I don't know. Bill in Derby. Hello, Bill. What's up?
I can scarcely believe some of the stuff coming out of your mouth, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, just today, for example, Defense Secretary Hegseth announced that we're no longer going to help their anti-drone program. They're going to stop helping that. And then then Musk was going to kick off the Starlink, and that'll get Ukraine conquered for Trump and Putin. And the other thing, what if this mineral rights?
Yeah.
I never heard word one about minerals for 3 years when all the country was sending everything they could to help fight off the fucking Russian aggression, right? And now we hear about Mr. Transactional. He wants to loot Ukraine while he's at it. The guy is below, is just terrible man.
So Bill, no, it's not treason. Stop with it. Hey, Bill. Bill, do you want to talk or you want to yell at me?
No, I want to make the point and not let the bullshit come out of your mouth. That's what I want.
Hey,
you want to know what I want? That's what I want.
Hey, Bill.
That's what I want.
I have a serious question for you, Bill. I have a serious question.
I'll bet you do. It's going to be your lame attempt to get back to me because I told you wrong.
No.
Go ahead, Tom.
No,
I'm
Bill.
waiting for you.
Bill.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go.
How do you end this war?
You defeat the aggression like in the Second World War.
Okay.
Maybe you don't know anything about history.
No, I don't.
Churchill didn't schmooze Adolf Hitler. By the way, the Western world defeated his ass.
Adolf Hitler didn't have nuclear. Hey, Bill.
Being able to make a deal.
Bill, sometimes, Bill, Bill, relax. Seriously. Bill,
I have to listen to this shit all day long.
Hey, Bill.
Some fools like you.
Bill.
And you put it on the radio.
Bill, it's my opinion. I am giving you an opportunity to voice your opinion.
Turn off Fox News.
You know, hey, Bill.
You consider yourself to be educated.
Bill.
You need to listen to both sides.
Bill, let me ask you something. Bill, let me ask you something. How do you defeat? Bill, Russia has nuclear weapons. How do you defeat them?
Oh, listen, that's been the case for 100 years.
Yeah.
What's changed? Have you seen any nuclear weapons flying over your head?
No, thankfully.
I've seen millions of people die.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people die.
Yeah.
In Ukraine. And starve, please.
All right.
Don't give me that crap.
Let me ask. All right, Bill.
Stand up and tell the truth.
Bill, one final question. Would you be okay? And this is going to be an issue that's going to have to be discussed. How about would now there are rumors of setting up, say, a similar situation to what's in Korea now. In other words, we stare down the North stares down us. That's a possibility. What do you think of that? Serious question.
Fine. If he gives back Crimea, I'm ready for it today.
Okay. That's
today. I agree. Today.
Yeah. See, you're right.
Agreed.
Bill, in that fact. Crimea, Bill.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Not only is that off the table, but so is the land, and so is the security guarantee.
No, it's not off the table, Bill. It's not. Bill, it's not off the table. It's not. Even Europe said.
NATO's under question, and the threat of NATO was scaring the shit out of the Russians.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much. Folks, that conversation may have sounded a bit choppy to you, but we had a dump bill a few times. Very passionate there. No, the security guarantees are not off the table. In fact, the security guarantees and what Europe may do for a buffer zone may be still on board here. But the bottom line is, when you have a guy who's got nuclear weapons, thousands of nuclear weapons, sometimes you just got to be nice to him to get him to the table. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Route 825 connector southbound to Bridgeport, accident approaching exit 1A, and that's taking out the right lane for now. On 95, the northbound side, plan on about 40 minutes from Stanford going through Fairfield. The Parkway overall is even easier. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliasson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday. It will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Bjorek on WICC.
Hello, Fairfield County. You're invited to come and enjoy the R.D. Cinto free community Shakespeare event series at R.D. Cinto in Shelton. Nights with Shakespeare features a dramatic weekly play reading of Twelfth Night with actor Leo Schaff. Nights with Shakespeare is free and open to the public. It's every Tuesday at 6:30, now through April 29th, at the Cinto Auditorium at 3 Corporate Drive in Shelton. Learn more and attend. Go to nightswithshakespeare.com for more information.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There were protests across the country today in support of fired workers from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration.
No matter what you do to erase climate scientists, the climate isn't going anywhere.
CBS's Rob Marciano.
What they're most concerned about really is what does this mean for predicting weather, for climate change. Some of the cuts are going to impact people like engineers and techs that maintain some of this vital equipment, the satellites, the radars that will deliver some of the life-saving warnings that go out to the public.
More federal workers are receiving emails today asking what they've done at work. At the Pentagon, they've been instructed to reply within 48 hours. Europe showed its support for Ukrainian President Zelensky over the weekend. At the White House, President Trump's team was meeting to decide the next steps. CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
We are waiting to see how the Americans might react to what the Europeans put together over the weekend, this so-called coalition of the willing that will be led by the British and the French with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars now. It's going to need to be spent by Europeans who weren't necessarily planning on it and had for so long, of course, relied on American support.
There was another setback for the Pope today. He had a breathing crisis. His correspondent Seth Doan reports from Rome.
2 bronchoscopies had to be performed. That's when a flexible probe is inserted into the lungs for them to be able to look around and to do that. The Pope had to be aspirated. They had to remove some of the excess mucus and fluids in his lung. The Pope was then administered oxygen, which we understand through Vatican sources was by face mask. He's been alternating different ways of getting that oxygen.
The Pope's been fighting pneumonia for 2 weeks in the hospital. There was a surprise plea today in the trial of a man charged with opening fire at an Independence Day parade in suburban Chicago back in 2022, killing 7 people. Moments before opening statements, Robert Crimo withdrew his not guilty plea. Reporter Sabrina Franza.
Everything was very eerily calm almost, and every answer that Crimo gave to the questions that the judge was presenting him with were just yes or no.
He was charged with 21 counts of first-degree murder. His sentencing will take place next month. Forecast high winds have canceled some Mardi Gras parades in Louisiana tomorrow. Many parts of the country could see severe weather. Meteorologist Craig Allen.
Very intense weather, ranging from blizzard conditions to severe weather and possible tornadoes all across the center of the nation from Monday night into Tuesday, and then it moves over towards the eastern seaboard on Wednesday.
On Wall Street, the Dow is off more than 600 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast, from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Some of your top news stories of the afternoon. A rally took place earlier this morning with Connecticut veterans and VA employees protesting recent job cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The layoffs are a result of efforts by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, to shrink the size of the federal government. The VA office dismissed over 1,400 employees last week. According to the VA, the cut employees were on probationary status and had served less than 2 years in their positions. Connecticut officials are preparing for the possible loss of federal funding for school meals in the state. Recent efforts by the Trump administration to freeze funds for various programs have raised concerns that school meals could face cuts. State officials say it appears that school meal money is safe for now, and they are monitoring the situation for any possible changes. They say studies show that students who participate in school breakfast programs have better academic performance and attendance. Groton Democratic State Representative Andre Bumgardner was arrested for reckless driving and DUI. Police say Bumgardner was taken into custody early yesterday morning by Groton police and was released after being booked. House Speaker Matt Ritter says Bumgardner has been suspended from his assistant majority leader position and from his committee assignments. Bumgardner later issued a statement apologizing for the undisclosed actions that led to his arrest. UConn star guard Paige Beckers has had her number added to the Huskies of Honor, joining the likes of Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, and the recently retired Diana Taurasi. This came after UConn defeated Marquette yesterday 92-57. Beckers had 19 points in that game, along with 7 assists and 3 steals. UConn is currently the number 1 seed in the Big East and will host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. Now is your chance for the WICC JSX Big Florida Flyaway. Text BROADCAST, BROADCAST, right now to 203-333-9422. to qualify to fly JSX out of Westchester to Florida to a destination of your choice. And that includes Naples, Miami, West Palm Beach, or Boca, plus hotel. All you have to do is text BROADCAST to 203-333-9422. Good luck. I'm Chris Williams, WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Route 825 connector southbound to Bridgeport, accident approaching exit 1A, and that's taking out the right lane for now. On 95, the northbound side plan on about 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. The Parkway overall is even easier. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliafson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points.
All right, that was Chris Murphy, Connecticut junior U.S. Senator, Democrat Chris Murphy over the weekend. And maybe you like that. Maybe you're pumping your fist at that. Okay, fine. Or maybe you think, hey, did he go a little bit over the edge there? Now, listen, as I tried to say with our last caller, you can think that and still not be happy with what President Trump has been saying. We can multitask here. But listen, Chris Murphy has been designated. It's not me saying it. But he's been designated the leader of the resistance here. That's okay. God bless him. Good for him. Nobody else in his party is able to do it, so why not him? But the bottom line is, when you say it's an arm of the Kremlin, look, he's looking to cut through in the media escape. I get it. I understand. But again, Trump being, saying what he is about Putin, as I tried to say to our last caller, who was very passionate about it, Vladimir Putin's a bad guy. He's got thousands of nuclear warheads. How does this end? And when I said the word schmooze, I mean, hey, sometimes you do what you have to do to get the guy to sit down at the table and have both sides look each other in the eyes. It happened in World War II. It happened in Vietnam. It hasn't really formally happened in Korea. But listen, this is the name of the game here. You got to get through to Putin somehow. Before we go to Ben Proto, Connecticut Republican Party Chair Jeff in Westport's been hanging on. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Comrade Paul. How are you doing?
A
couple little things.
Yeah.
The last caller with Bill, and he insulted you by saying you didn't know history.
Look. Let's Jeff. No, Jeff. Let's be nice. You know my philosophy on talking about.
I'm being very nice. I just want to point out a couple of things. When you mentioned nuclear weapons that Russia had, he said Russia's had those for 100 years. Okay, no, they haven't.
All right.
That would put Russia having it at 1924.
I get it. I understand.
England didn't schmooze with Hitler. Before Hitler started bombing England, actually,
Neville
England
Chamberlain. Neville Chamberlain.
Talks with Hitler.
Yeah.
So he's a little off on his history.
I get it, Jeff. I understand it. Do you have another point, Jeff? Yeah.
Yes, I do. So Russia, we have to be kid gloves with Russia, with China, because those are going to be our Cold War adversaries if we go into a Cold War again.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be better to talk it out than to go full ballistic with, like Bill was saying, we should go full ballistic. It's very interesting that the Democrats are always so angry when they talk to you. Instead of talking like you and I are talking right now, I mean, Bill was expletives every other word because he was so angry.
And Jeff, I get it. I do have to go. I have Ben hanging on here. No, Jeff, I get it. Thank you. Listen, I'm okay with Bill. I'm okay with anybody who's passionate about it. I used to be passionate about a lot of stuff, too. They used to scream about. Then I was like, well, wait a minute. Let me look at this from the other side. So, Jeff, thank you. All I'm saying is if a guy's got thousands of warheads, even though you don't like it, maybe sometimes you have to say what you have to say and then get him to the table and say, now, okay, we need to make a deal here. Now, is Chris Murphy way out of line with what he said about the White House being an arm of the Kremlin? Maybe you love Chris Murphy. Say, no, it is. Maybe you're angry. Republican Party Chair Ben Proto is up next, right after this on WICC.
Just when you think we're through the worst of this winter, another cold snap hits Connecticut. It's time to warm up with the WICC JSX Big Florida Flyaway. Weekdays at 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. Listen for the keyword to text and qualify to fly JSX round trip out of Westchester to the Florida destination of your choice. Naples, Miami, West Palm Beach, or Boca Raton. Plus, a hotel stay on us. It's the WICC JSX Big Florida Flyaway. Play 3 times a day and think warmer thoughts.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Hi, I'm Peter from Donut Delight. Donut Delight has used Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning since 1994. From installing plumbing in our new stores to maintaining our existing stores and our personal homes. Their guys have always been very professional and great to work with. Donut Delight has been very happy with Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Looking for a reliable plumbing or HVAC company? Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC has proven customer satisfaction since 1974. Go to BassoPHAC.com. That's BassoPHAC.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Route 8, 25 connector southbound to Bridgeport, accident approaching exit 1A, and that's taking out the right lane for now. On 95, the northbound side, plan on about 40 minutes from Stanford going through Fairfield. The Parkway overall is even easier. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Voice your opinion on the voice of Connecticut. 203-333-9422. Back to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli. WICC 600 and 95.9.
All right, Ben Proto joins us right now. Ben, of course, the chair of the Connecticut Republican Party, and Ben has issued a statement regarding some of the stuff that our junior U.S. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy said over the weekend. Ben, it's Paul. Good afternoon, sir. How are you, Ben? How you been?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are things in Paul Land?
Oh, Paul Land is great. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I'm alive. I'm good. I'm breathing, whatever. Well, I got to tell you, Ben, I listen, as I said earlier in the show, of course the Democrats are going to oppose the Republicans. The Republicans are going to oppose the Democrats, whatever. But when I heard, Ben, the arm of the Kremlin line over the weekend, I went, did that go a little far? What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think Chris Murphy and the Democrats have to remember who's responsible for foreign policy in this country, and it's the President of the United States, not the United States Senate. They have a role to play at some point, but the setting of that policy and the implementation and administration of that policy rests with the President. I think, what Chris Murphy and his colleagues did just before the meeting in the Oval Office with President Zelensky and President Trump and Vice President Vance was a tremendous disservice, not only to the people they represent here in the United States, but also to the Ukrainian people. Paul, that mineral rights deal would give the United States an economic interest in Ukraine. And if there's one thing that we're good at, it's protecting our economic interests around the world. So once we got that interest, we suddenly had that interest to make sure Ukraine was safe and that it was not, and this war was being brought to a swift end. And so I think, with Chris Murphy Chris Murphy's trying to decide what he wants to be when he grows up. He's clearly got his eye on, a national office in 2028 or taking over for Chuck Schumer when Chuck Schumer steps down as a Democrat leader. And that's fine. Everyone should have a goal in life, I guess. I mean, that's Chris's. But, when you're doing stuff that actually is hurting, the people you represent, not only here in Connecticut, but across this country and really across the globe, then your political desires are outweighing your job, which is to ensure the protection of our country. And I think, he way overstepped. And Paul, you're a bit of a history buff, I know. And, if we go back to Richard Nixon, and, when Richard Nixon went to China, and everyone was very upset about Richard Nixon opening China and going to China. And it was, it was a big hullabaloo. But the strategic value of what Richard Nixon did in the 1970s by going to China was he split Russia and China, right? Suddenly we had an ally or at least a relationship with China. We were beginning to have an economic interest with China. We were beginning to do things with China, and we pushed China and Russia apart to keep that access from coming together. If you look at what Trump is doing now, and I don't know if this is what he's doing, but man, it sure looks a lot like the Nixon-China situation where he's trying to push Russia and China apart, but he's doing it with Russia this time as opposed to China because he's already said China is the enemy. China is the major threat to the United States. He has said that time and time again, and quite frankly, the Democrats have said that time and time again. So if there's a way to divide Russia from China, to keep that access from forming, then I think the president is doing exactly what he should be doing, and that's protecting our interests. And I hope Zelensky comes back to the table, signs that agreement, we get our economic interest there, and suddenly we have the ability to bring this stupid Ukrainian-Russian war to an end.
Yeah, and Ben, the thing I found interesting in that you mentioned that, because I didn't quite understand. I was saying, well, geez, the mining thing and the rare earths, okay, I get it, but is that going to stop gunfire? And there was some columnist over the weekend that said, don't laugh at it because, as you said, if there is now a burgeoning or a solid U.S. business interest in Ukraine, it might make Putin think twice as saying, well, wait a minute. Those aren't troops there. Those are sands for security people. That's a mining operation. Do I want to risk further deteriorating the relationship with the U.S. if I fire on them? So I kind of think that's kind of what your thinking is here, and as it was explained over the weekend. Now, would it work? I don't know, but I guess that's why they're thinking that first before U.S. troops.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, going back to the original question, clearly I think the Democrats way overstepped. And as a result, brought about what happened in the Oval Office last week, which, clearly was not a good thing for the people of the Ukraine. And for Zelensky was a really bad outcome for them. And, I think he needs to figure out, how he can fix this and get this relationship back on track. Trump has committed. He committed during the campaign. He committed when he took the oath, and he has committed since January 20th to bringing about a ceasefire that works for everybody and ending that war. When you look at what's happened over the last 3+ years, Paul, and you know these numbers, how many, million plus people are dead, in 3 years, probably close to $1 trillion, if not more, has been spent on this war. To what end? There's no end in sight. More people are going to die. More money is going to be wasted, and it needs to come to an end. And Donald Trump is trying to do that. I think Zelensky, it's unclear what Zelensky wants at this point. Does he want this to end, or does he really think he can defeat Russia? And to this point, I mean, you fought them to a standstill.
Yeah, which is
and
again,
so long.
Nobody is denying the will and the courage and the fortitude of the Ukrainian people. I mean, my God, to stand up to Russia on your doorstep, my God, the guts that takes. But again, Ben, the question is, and I've been mentioning it with callers here the past few days, how do you defeat Russia that has thousands of nuclear warheads? How does that happen?
No, you don't, and there's always been the concern, I think, that Putin would use a tactical nuclear weapon, which if that were to happen, at some point you've involved NATO, and once you've involved NATO, you've involved the United States. We have certain treaty commitments that require us to do certain things at that point, including putting American boots on the ground in a shooting war. And I don't think there's anybody in this country that wants that.
No.
And so, I really think that, President Zelensky needs to figure out how to fix this. They need to come back to this table without, Chris Murphy and the Democrats. That's not their job. Negotiate the appropriate deals, work together to bring about an end to this stupid war. And let's get everybody back on track in that part of the world. Because once this spills over into a European conflict, then Trump is right. Zelensky has created World War III.
Ben Proto. Ben, thanks. Appreciate the time. Be good. Be careful out there, Ben, and we'll chat down the road. Thanks.
Look forward, Paul. Thanks for having me on, as always.
All right, thanks. Ben Proto, their state Republican Party chair, who put out a statement today chiding Chris Murphy. Folks, this is serious now. And if something good happens, now see, you know me from listening to me. I always look for the good in something or the teachable moment in something. That's a lot of my dear progressive friends use that, a teachable moment. And you know what? Friday in the Oval Office, and I told you, one of our coworkers here at Connoisseur comes into my studio going, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And I'm like, "What happened? Was there another plane crash? Did the Pope pass away?" He says, "No, they were yelling at each other in the Oval Office." And I said, "Yelling at each other in the Oval Office? Huh? What?" Well, you and I talked about this for, 3 solid hours on Friday, and think, when was the last time we talked for 3 hours? When was the last time we talked for 3 hours regarding the Russia-Ukraine war? So, what happened on Friday at least has the world talking about this now. So do you credit Zelensky for that, for shaking up the meeting? Do you credit Trump and Vance? And by the way, I got to tell you, seriously, watch the opening of Saturday Night Live. It was finally funny again for 5 minutes. But seriously, at least now people are talking about it. And you have France and England over the weekend saying to Ukraine, "We got your back." That's good. That's good. Because we were pretty much about this. I mean, I remember having guests about this on for the first year or so of the war. And then you say to yourself, well, Russia ain't going to lose, are they? I mean, I don't know. And believe me, I know a lot of Ukrainian people. My son and his mom have traveled twice to Ukraine. They had nothing but good things to say about it. But really, would they have a shot against Putin? Which goes back to my initial thought here that got some folks rather upset. Listen, the person who's winning or the biggest threat, sometimes you got to talk him down, and you may hate doing it. But it may be what has to happen. More coming up right here, including that more being news and traffic and weather together. And next half hour, actually in the 4 o'clock half hour, we'll talk about possibly the Federal Department of Justice coming in here to the state of Connecticut and trying to get a better look at the ongoing Bridgeport absentee ballot mess. We'll do all that and more right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes from Stamford through Bridgeport. Definitely some breaks along the way through. The Parkway overall is even easier right now. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Looking for a quick primary care appointment? Start here. Hartford Healthcare Medical Group offers appointments right away, often the next day, with skilled clinicians who partner with you to get you healthy and keep you healthy. We're here for you, whether it's an illness, chronic condition, or a physical, with offices throughout Fairfield County. Visit hartfordhealthcare.org/primary care. That's hartfordhealthcare.org/primary care.
Winter is the best time of the year to test for radon in your home. Closed doors and windows provide the most accurate reading. Protect your family with a free on-site radon test kit from Apex Radon Solutions. Don't miss out on an opportunity to ensure your family's safety. Act now and let Apex Radon Solutions help you breathe easier with peace of mind. Go to apexradonsolutions.com today to schedule a free on-site test kit. Healthy air, healthy home, healthy life with apexradonsolutions.com.
For over a century, Spectre has been the go-to destination for furniture that's built to last. To celebrate, they're kicking off their 135th anniversary sale with huge discounts store-wide. Whether you're updating your living room, refreshing your bedroom, or looking for the perfect new dining set, Spectre Furniture has the pieces you'll love at prices you'll adore. Celebrate this March at Spectre Furniture, 135 years strong and still your home for style.
All right, want to give us a call here? Please do. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. And a reminder, you can call, and that's, of course, the usual phone number to get through to us, or you can now text on that line. So if you don't want to call, or you can't call, or you don't want people to recognize your voice, send me a text or call 203-333-9422, 333-WICC.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Brief. The Pope has suffered some new breathing issues, and he's back on ventilation.
We're getting this discouraging, worrying news tonight of these 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure.
CBS's Seth Doan in Rome. It's another setback in the Pope's 2-week battle to overcome pneumonia. Protesters were outside NOAA's headquarters in Maryland today, angry over cuts to their workforce.
NOAA is 12,000 experts here to help, to fly into hurricanes, to deploy underwater sensors.
An Illinois man pleaded guilty today to killing several people and injuring dozens more at an Independence Day parade in suburban Chicago. Outside the courthouse, parade goers like this woman say they are still recovering.
We can all heal. Our path to healing is beginning.
Sentencing for Robert Crimo will come April 23rd. He's charged with 21 counts of first-degree murder. CBS News Brief, I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Your top news story of the afternoon. In a CNN interview yesterday on State of the Nation, Senator Chris Murphy said the White House is, quote, an arm of the Kremlin. His comments followed Friday's Oval Office clash between President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Connecticut Democrat said Trump and his national security team are using Kremlin talking points on a daily basis. The Bridgeport Police Department has appointed Paul Gretsch and Frank Capozzi as assistant chiefs. Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim, along with Police Chief Roderick Porter, announced the appointment late last week. Gretsch has been a member of the department since 2000 and is credited with creating an effective community-based crime prevention unit, as well as being the officer in charge of school security since 2012. Capozzi spent 25 years with the Waterbury Police Department and has a master's in public administration from the University of New Haven. Capozzi is also a Marine Corps veteran. Bridgeport City Democratic Town Committee Vice Chair Wanda Jeter-Pataki is facing a total of 96 charges related to alleged absentee ballot fraud. Jeter-Pataki was arrested February 21st after turning herself in at State Police Troop G barracks. Several high-profile officials have come to Jeter-Pataki's defense, including party chairman Mario Testa, who said the public convicted her without due process and she deserves to have her day in court, as well as Mayor Joe Ganim, who said through a spokesperson Friday that he believes in due process and will not pressure any of those city officials arrested to resign or to step aside. Earlier this morning, Governor Ned Lamont held a press conference. One of the talking points was in which he announced a plan to eliminate fees that workers in certain professions must pay to acquire occupational licenses. The plan would also eliminate the fees associated with renewing those licenses. In his budget address in February, the governor proposed this measure as a way of keeping workers here in the state.
College or not, we need you here. It'll make it easier for you to stay here. I say that to nurses and dental hygienists and therapists and electricians and plumbers and HVAC and sheet metal workers and teachers. We're eliminating all your licensing fees. Eliminating them. It's another reason to start your career in Connecticut. Another reason to stay in Connecticut.
If approved by the General Assembly, the plan would save Connecticut taxpayers almost $19 million in 2026 and $25 million in 2027. The bill would impact workers in a variety of fields, such as education, healthcare, and skilled labor. Stratford planners have again rejected the proposed 129-unit apartment complex at the Merit 8 Corporate Park. The developer has been seeking to build a 4-story apartment building at the complex on Hawley Lane. Town planners have rejected the proposal over concerns about the impact it could have on area wetlands. Over 700 Stratford residents have signed a petition seeking to block the project and recommending that the property be sold to a land trust. A lawsuit could derail an effort by the city of Stamford to buy a former YMCA property. The YMCA on Washington Boulevard has been closed for around a year and shares a building with the Lloyd Hotel. The lawsuit is filed by the owner of the hotel, alleging that the YMCA violated an agreement with the decision to sell to the city. The suit claimed that Lloyd owner RMS Hotels has the right of first offer to buy the YMCA and seeks an injunction to stop the sale. A 240-space parking garage in downtown Bridgeport that closed in 2023 for renovations is set to reopen this month. The 90,000-square-foot City Trust garage has received around $2 million in renovations. The work was performed after the city urged the new property owner to address crumbling concrete, lighting problems, and other issues. City officials are pleased the garage will again provide a safe and affordable downtown parking option. And the state legislature is considering a bill that would ban bird hunting in the Morris Cove section of New Haven. Residents in the Shoreline neighborhood say people firing guns at waterfowl from boats are impacting their quality of life. Mayor Justin Elliker has expressed support for the bill, saying hunting should not take place in a densely populated city like New Haven. The bill is currently being considered by the legislature's Environment Committee. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes from Stamford through Bridgeport. Definitely some breaks along the way through. The Parkway overall is even easier right now. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday. It will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Paul wants to hear from you. Call 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, how we doing, 333-9422-203-333-9422-333 WICC. Call that number or text us. That's right. If you want to just send a text, you really don't want to wait on the line to call. You can't. and you don't want to do email, which you can as well, you can text us now, 333-9422. All right. Joe in Fairfield's been hanging on a good while. Hello, Joe. How are you, buddy?
Good afternoon, Paul. Just two things. I know Vice President Vance was to go skiing with his family. He was met by hundreds of protesters.
Yeah.
And protesters that have been going around, they all have the same colored tents. They have all this, military equipment. Who's buying this, and why can't they make this into some sort of, RICO charge for the people that are in charge of this?
Joe, I just think people are like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, listen, you have the right to protest. I don't ever want to, keep anybody away from that. Now, as somebody did point out, Joe, he was on a family trip. It wasn't like he was there on a speaking engagement, and that's kind of where I would draw the line. You know what I mean? I heard that over the weekend. I went, whatever.
Yeah, but these people are throwing bottles, frozen bottles of water at the police, and and the other thing is this Doge thing. If some people are against Doge, then they should sign some sort of form to say, okay, the tax money that we're going to give back to the taxpayers, I'll waive that. I don't want that money. They'll be the first ones with their hand out. Trust me.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. And regarding Doge. They need to do, and they meaning whether it's Musk or his minions or the White House or whatever, there's a lot of conflicting posts about Doge on social media. Well, this really wasn't a savings because these contracts were null and void, whatever. I want to see. And count me, I'm not skeptical. Don't put me in the skeptic category, but I would like to see some sort of, and I think Musk started to do this a couple of weeks ago. I want to see some sort of, and maybe I'm just missing it, not looking at the right website, but I really would like to see some sort of an up-to-the-minute, maybe a daily accounting of what they're finding. Now, you remember when this started 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw the lines about, what do they see? DEI, Sesame Street for Iraq or Afghanistan. Well, okay. Some of these dollar figures weren't big, but I would love to see a news conference or just a way. And maybe it's out there. If you folks find it, you can please email it to me or text it here at 333-9422 or whatever. But I'd just like to see a more accessible way of seeing what these Doge cuts are. Now, again, some of the information is conflicting, right? Like, number one, for example, you say, well, they're cutting all these federal employees, and then because then you hear that and you say, geez, how's the government gonna function? And then you hear, well, these are only probationary employees. So what's the probationary period? 60 days, 90 days, 30 days, whatever. And believe me, I'm not sitting here being flip saying, you lost your job. Too bad. No, believe me, been there, done that. That ain't pleasant. Listen, you cannot, if you have any sort of a soul in your being, you can be okay for government cutbacks, but let's not be so flip to say, well, they could just find another job or it's probationary. Yeah, I get it. But you know what? When you lose your job for whatever way, and again, yeah, government is bloated a lot of times, not everywhere. But when you lose your job, that sucks. It does. That, and for those of you it's happened to, that initial 30 seconds or 1 minute after you're told either in an office of a supervisor or as you come in or you're going to leave to go home from work, that 30 seconds or a minute next to hearing that a loved one has died or your spouse wants a divorce or somebody you know has died, that 30 seconds or a minute when you find out, hey, the place you love working doesn't want you anymore, or you can't come back here tomorrow, that's pretty rough. So again, I think we can still be for government cuts, but understand these things affect people. Now, I think what would mitigate that a little bit is a better effort, like I said, of just being able to explain to the American people or to people in real time, hey, here's the cuts we made, and this is why we think those positions are repetitive.
When you want the top Connecticut headlines when you wake up, you know to come to one place. That's Melissa in the Morning. Live interviews with local leaders and breaking news. You've got it on Melissa in the Morning. Plus, traffic and weather every 10 minutes. Melissa in the Morning is everything you need on your ride into work. Melissa Sheketoff, every weekday from 5 to 10 on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9.
In our effort to give dissemination of notice to nonprofit agencies, Connoisseur Media invites these agencies to request notification of job openings. To register your nonprofit agency for notifications of job openings at all Connoisseur Media stations in Connecticut, call us at 203-783-8200. Ask for Tristan Holler, and be sure to give us your name, address, phone number, and a contact person at the agency. If you're on our notification list and have changes or updates, call us at 203-783-8200. Ask for Tristan Holler. Connoisseur Media is an equal opportunity employer.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes from Stamford through Bridgeport. Definitely some breaks along the way through. The Parkway overall is even easier right now. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Listen while you're at work at voiceofct.com. Now back to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, got a text here, and remember now that same number that you call us on, which is 203-333-9422. That same number you can now text us on. Hi, Paul. Rather text than call in, I'm independent, more of a centrist. But could you imagine if this was the Democrats, they would be destroyed by the right, saying they are weak? Yeah, that would happen. Absolutely. To our friend here, Angelo, texting in, yeah, this is how the game works. That's why I said earlier on. It's not surprising what Chris Murphy is leading here. I don't blame him at all. Now, the only thing I said here is, is saying the White House is an arm of the Kremlin. Well, it's a little much. I got to tell you something. I'd be real disappointed and upset if Republicans or conservatives use that language. Absolutely. They from here on in will always hate each other, Democrats versus Republicans. This is in reference to the Zelensky blowout in the White House. You also said they need to bring him to the table to talk, and Ukraine can't beat Russia. What happened in Afghanistan? Well, and I assume, and Angelo, thank you for the text. I assume you're talking about how the Afghans were able to blow the Russians or get them to leave Afghanistan. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, two things there. Why is that maybe a different scenario here? Well, number one, historians have said that part of the reason Russia said, screw this, we're out, is because of the terrain of Afghanistan. Now, there may be some terrain issues in Ukraine. I have no idea. I don't know. So there is that. And the Russians also, in Afghanistan, besides having problems, with the terrain, they just thought it wasn't worth it in the end. Now, I think this happened in 1980, 81, 82, I think. No, it was it was toward the end of the 70s. Because if you remember, that's one of the reasons that we boycotted the Olympics in 1980, I believe, was because of the Russian invasion of Afghanistan. Because that's back when they would hold Summer and Winter Olympics together again in the same year. So I believe that was 1980. So, yeah, and that's why, which I didn't like at the time. I don't like, for example, today, I as a person who doesn't think politics should bleed into sports and vice versa, I'm disappointed, although I understand why it's happening. Hear me out on this before you flip out. I don't like the fact that the world has kind of turned on Russian athletes here. They weren't allowed on the Four Nations thing the NHL just did. In some international competitions, they're not allowed. I get it. I understand it. But it's too bad that men and women of any nation, not just Russia, it's too bad that men and women of any nation, going back to, the boycotts of 1980 and 84, I think, whatever that was, I just think it's sad when you work for so long to get up to a level of, competition, and then because two nations can't get together or your leadership is idiotic, that you lose out. 203-333-9422, 333 WICC. The other thing is, we wrap up on this. We're going to shift gears here for the second half of the show. This is the other thing about the Ukraine situation in America that nobody is asking, which I find it interesting because I'm sitting here reading as much as I can over the weekend about this. From the left, center, right, whatever, all the different networks, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, PBS, all the broadcast networks. Mr. Zelensky, President Zelensky, says, well, Ukraine needs a security guarantee. And we talked about this with our caller previously. Well, what exactly? And look, there's got to be something that's acceptable. Nobody is specifically asking or delineating. What is a security guarantee? What does that look like? And I guess it could be, as we discussed with our caller earlier, are you setting up now something akin to what we have in Korea? The Korean War is not officially over still. There's no official settlement there. You still have thousands of South Korean troops and U.S. troops, by the way, staring down North Koreans. Okay, is that what you get with Ukraine and Russia? I don't know. What does that mean? Security guarantees. Does that mean a U.S. base or a co-staffed U.S. base between the U.S. and Ukraine? Maybe you do that. Maybe you do that to stare down Vladimir Putin. Because remember, the bad guys in this thing, no matter what Donald Trump says, he's trying to schmooze Vladimir Putin to get him and his people at least to the table. Nothing is going to end. You have to understand something. Nothing is going to end unless Putin tells his guys, okay, Go sit down and figure something out here. Because remember, Russia's losing people too. Russian soldiers are getting blown to bits, and Russian people are being killed too. Now, again, he doesn't have to do anything because he has nukes. So what do you do? I don't know. This is it's tough. And let me just give you this before we wrap this up. So you heard what Chris Murphy has been saying, and you heard what some of the other people have said. So people said, well, what's the Trump White House response to this? So George Stephanopoulos was on ABC's This Week, and he had Marco Rubio on, the Secretary of the State, and Marco Rubio was asked, hey, pretty bad, what happened at the White House on Friday? What's your boss Trump thinking about? Why is he cozying up to Vladimir Putin this way? Is he just falling for a trap?
Is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize this year. No one here is claiming Vladimir Putin is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize this year, or that he should be the Man of the Year of the Humanitarian Association. What we're arguing here is he has a very large country. They're in full war footing. They're cranking out weapons now at a war footing pace, and we need to figure out, is there a way to get them to stop the war? And the only way you're going to do that is to get Russians engaged in negotiations, something the Europeans haven't been able to do, the Biden administration wasn't able to do or didn't even try. That's the goal here. It's that simple. Can we try to sit with them and figure out whether there's anything, what are the Russians' demands, under what conditions would the Russians be willing to stop this war? And as I said, we don't know what those are because we haven't talked to them in 3 years. That's the singular goal here, is to try to bring about an end to this conflict, and it begins by getting them to the table. Ultimately, like any truce, like any peace agreement anywhere in the world, those things will have to be enforced, they'll have to be enduring, there'll have to be safeguards put in place. Everybody understands that, but it begins with the first step, and that is engaging them to see if it's even possible. Because if it's not possible, then what we're looking at is a protracted stalemate with thousands of people dying, billions of dollars pouring in, and more death and destruction. And that's not something the president wants to be a part of. He's made it very clear.
All right. How do you end it? Now, again, if one sort of positive thing came out of last Friday, it's that now at least we're talking about that. Both sides talking, sometimes yelling or screaming at each other, whatever. But at least people are talking about this now. And I know for a lot of people, especially on the conservative side of the aisle, it's about the money. I get it. I understand it. I've never been one to be crazed about money. Listen, and look, I don't mean this to be flip. I don't. I really, really, really don't. But a lot of times people look the other way at the money because they say, well, the money's being spent on an American company. You know, these defense contractors, they love this stuff. So was this what Eisenhower warned us about, the military-industrial complex? Listen, God bless him. Great American, great battlefield commander, equally great president. I think people take that military-industrial complex thing a little too far, but that's me. That's only me. We can agree to disagree on that. So what I'd like to see, and I think most Americans and most people around the world would maybe like to see here, maybe like to see, is on both sides, turn down the rhetoric and figure out, how does this end? Now, it may not. Remember, we were in Afghanistan for, 20 years? That ended what? Biden ended that, in 2021 or 2022? And we went in there right after 9/11? About a year later, something like that? That was always fascinating to me. That, and please, I don't mean to be flip, not fascinating in that way, but think about that. We were in Afghanistan 20 years. World War II took prior to the American involvement. World War II was basically from 1939 to 1945, 5.5, 6-year war. And we were involved in Afghanistan for 20 years. So could the Russian-Ukrainian thing go on for a generation? Well, maybe. All right, coming up top of the hour right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes from Stanford through Bridgeport. Definitely some breaks along the way through. The Parkway overall is even easier right now. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday. It will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
No part of your home is more important than the roof over your head. Hi, I'm Eddie Griffin, the owner of Brown Roofing, your local expert for roof replacement and roof repair. Water resistant, weather resistant, wind resistant, our products offer superior protection that come with a 50-year lifetime transferable warranty. Call us today at 475-445-1195 or visit us at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA Guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
On the text line we go with 333-9422. Couple of texts here. Thank you for the messages. You can't get him, meaning Putin, to the table by calling him a dictator. Right. Yeah. Everybody knows what he is. I mean, come on. And then another text from the same number, and now Europe is willing to take on more responsibility. Isn't that fascinating? Maybe, as much as people despise Trump, maybe he figured, let me do this here, smash the kitchen table here, and maybe Europe will step up. Because there's been this buzz now, and there are some European leaders that are for this, a standing European force, in other words, an army, somebody who may be on that, what's similar to, what is it, the 38th parallel there in North Korea and South Korea. So does this eventually lead to something like that, a European force? So we will see how this shakes out. And, of course, Mr. Trump addressing Congress tomorrow. We'll see how many Democrats show up, how many don't. Should be interesting. And we will have full analysis on Wednesday. Right here.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven. Locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump spoke out today about the shouting match with Ukraine's president last week. Stacey Lynn reports.
When asked what Ukrainian President Zelensky needs to do to restart negotiations.
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative.
And he said the minerals deal isn't off the table.
Look, it's a great deal for us.
And when he was asked if his foreign policy vision is in line with Russia's.
It takes two to tango, and you're going to have to make a deal with Russia, and you're going to have to make a deal with Ukraine.
The president also talked tariffs and says the 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico will go into place tomorrow.
Reporter Jason Brooks on those tariffs.
U.S. automakers will feel a big pinch with the Detroit 3 not only assembling vehicles in Canada and Mexico, but also sourcing many key components from those countries. Mexico is a large provider of transportation equipment, machinery, and produce to the U.S.
Protesters were outside the NOAA headquarters building in Maryland today, angry about the cuts to the agency. WTOP's Mike Murillo reports.
Hands up or no. Holding signs such as "We Love NOAA" and "End NOAA Layoffs," a large crowd gathered outside of the headquarters. Among those here, climate scientist Tom DiLiberto.
Working at NOAA
was my dream.
He was let go last week, 14 days before his probationary period was over.
Some of the best were fired.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen told the crowd, from food safety to weather warnings, these cuts will have big impacts.
And without NOAA, bad things will happen to the American people.
Mike Murillo for CBS News, Silver Spring, Maryland.
An acting assistant administrator for USAID has been placed on leave after writing a memo about the cutbacks there. CBS's Aaron Navarro.
The memo itself is one of the more specific timelines we've seen of how DOGE and Secretary Rubio have impacted USAID. At one point, they mentioned how the payment systems were turned off by DOGE.
The Pope suffered breathing problems again today. Seth Doan has been monitoring in Rome.
2 bronchoscopies were performed. That's when a flexible probe is inserted into the lungs to examine them, and he had to be aspirated in order to do that. The Pope was then administered oxygen, we understand, through a face mask.
WBBM's Nancy Hardy reports that a Chicago man entered a surprise plea as his trial was beginning for a shooting that killed 7 people during a 2022 July 4th parade.
In front of survivors of the parade shooting and relatives of the 7 people killed, Robert Crimo III made the shocking decision to change his plea. The 24-year-old has pleaded guilty to all 69 counts.
And this is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Your top news story of the afternoon. The Bridgeport Police Department has appointed Paul Gretsch and Frank Capozzi as assistant chiefs. Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim, along with Police Chief Roderick Porter, announced the appointment late last week. Gretsch has been a member of the department since 2000 and is credited with creating an effective community-based crime prevention unit, as well as being the officer in charge of school security since 2012. Capozzi spent 25 years with the Waterbury Police Department and has a master's in public administration from the University of New Haven. Capozzi is also a Marine Corps veteran. Bridgeport City Democratic Town Committee Vice Chair Wanda Jeter Pataki is facing a total of 96 charges related to alleged absentee ballot fraud. Jeter Pataki was arrested February 21st after turning herself in at State Police Troop G Barracks. Several high-profile officials have come to Jeter Pataki's defense, including party chairman Mario Testa, who said the public convicted her without due process and she deserves to have her day in court, as well as Mayor Joe Ganim, who said through a spokesperson Friday that he believes in due process and will not pressure any of those city officials arrested to resign or step aside.
UConn Women's Basketball Program has one benchmark for induction as a current student athlete in the Huskies of Honor, first team All-America status. Paige Beckers earned that stature as both a freshman and junior. So let us help welcome the newest member of the UConn Huskies of Honor, Paige Beckers.
And UConn star guard Paige Beckers has had her number added to the Huskies of Honor, joining the likes of Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, and the recently retired Diana Taurasi. This came after UConn defeated Marquette yesterday 1992-57. Beckers had 19 points in that game, along with 7 assists and 3 steals. UConn is currently the number 1 seed in the Big East and will host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes. Stanford to Bridgeport, a few breaks along the way through. Of course, Lower Merritt is even easier out of New Haven. 95 south, just busy through Long Wharf. And 84 eastbound, a few extra cars going through Danbury. Traffic report powered by Duchess. Visit a Duchess restaurant today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Enjoy fresh food served fast. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, back to open phones in just a bit. Hey, by the way, next hour he is back. Our buddy on Mondays, our 5:15 panel guest we usually have on Mondays. Terry Cowgill is going to join us again. He writes his Substack column. He also writes for the Connecticut News Junkie. Terry is back after, having to have a hip replacement. Kind of fell and had a little to do a couple of months ago, but he is back better than ever, and he will recount that. And how many of us have had relatives or friends who have done that? My mom had to have a hip replacement years and years and years ago before she passed away. Fractured a hip, broken arm, broke a leg. Be careful. Just moving around, folks. See, this is why when I get up in the morning, I sit on the bed and okay, the room isn't spinning. All right, let me see. That limb works. That works. Okay, now get up in the bed slowly. There we go. And shuffle off to the bathroom. You just heard in the news, top of the hour, there are a lot of Bridgeport heavyweights from the Democratic side saying, hey, and I kind of agree with this, let's not rush to judgment on this Bridgeport absentee ballot thing, but a lot of folks still I speak to, either personally or on social media, saying, hey, is this Bridgeport thing going to get snuffed out? I said, well, I hope not. And the Republican caucus in Hartford, the leaders are saying, hey, just to make sure, let's bring in the federal Department of Justice and get Pam Bondi to do something with that. Joining us right now, State Senate Republican leader Steve Harding, friend of the radio station. Hey, Steve, it's Paul. Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I love your show. It's always great to be on with you, and thank you so much for having me. And also, quickly, best wishes to Terry. He's actually a constituent of mine.
Oh, really?
In the northwest corner. Yeah, he's a good man, and I am wishing him well, and I'm happy to hear that he's on the path to recovery. So I'm looking forward to hearing him on your show. So.
Yeah, I will tell him that next hour. Thanks, Steve. I'll pass that along. So Steve, is there a fear maybe among you folks and others in the conference and the caucus that even though there's a state elections enforcement commission and I guess some state officials are involved, do you really think the feds need to step in here? Talk a little about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do, and the reason is because we've seen time and time again the local state authorities in regards to these election oversight organizations we have here in Connecticut never take the proper steps to actually properly investigate and prosecute and address these election fraud crimes and allegations. And time again in Bridgeport, we've seen what went on there. We've seen, interestingly enough, and sad enough, in the governor's budget, he proposed to remove this Bridgeport election moderator, right in the wake of this councilman coming out openly and saying the governor and the Democratic Party basically told me to do this.
And Steve, we're talking what, $125,000, $150,000 in a $52 billion 2-year budget? Really? How does that make any sense?
When we talk about priorities, wouldn't you think that protecting the foundation of a democracy in a city where time and time again we've seen a democracy upended, we've seen judges forced into situations where they've had to order brand new elections because of how ripe fraud is there, and the fact that your priority is to remove the individual or individuals that are involved in overseeing, making sure that democracy there is working effectively and legally, I think it speaks to everything you need to know about how the Democratic Party and those that are in control in Democratic organizations overseeing elections, what they think about or how seriously they actually react to election fraud and what goes on in the state. And so that's why we've kind of taken this rather extraordinary step of taking it to the federal level. And hoping that the federal level will take it as serious as it should be taken, and something is investigated here.
So, Steve, what is the process here? I mean, can just the Republican lawmakers send a letter or an official contact to Pam Bondi, the AG? Can she step in here, or does that request have to be made by Attorney General Tong or Governor Lamont? How technically would that work, if at all?
My understanding is I think the letter, the correspondence that we've written as Republicans is plenty, is more than enough for the Attorney General's office to initiate an investigation and to take it further from there, depending on what they find in their investigations. I think the Attorney General of the United States has broad authorities, particularly surrounding, potential election fraud, and that's been committed or even continuing to be committed, which is sad and scary to think. And so, my understanding is that this correspondence could potentially lead to the Attorney General's office and the Department of Justice taking steps to finally address this issue. And again, we've seen the Democratic Party step away from their responsibilities when it comes down to addressing election fraud in the state, particularly as they've handled Bridgeport. And I think we've made the message clear in the correspondence to the Attorney General's office and to DOJ that we believe that it's now time for the federal government to step in, because it's clear the Democrats in control in Hartford have really no appetite to actually do what's right here.
And Steve, I was shocked, and I talked at length on my show about this, to see that Stephanie Thomas, a duly elected constitutional officer, Secretary of the State here in Connecticut, who's entrusted with making sure the elections go well, testified the other day, Steve, that they don't have, her department is being undercut money-wise, and she said, if I recall this correctly, that there's not enough money for cities and towns to do early voting again. I mean, here everybody, Steve, was being a champion of early voting, yet, hey, cities and towns, you figure it out. Again, Steve, this is one reason why if they ever elected me to do what you guys and gals do, they'd be rolling me out of there in one day, because my mind would actually freak out. I mean, what's up with that? You have a Secretary of the State saying, well, we don't have enough money.
I think it speaks to the overarching issue that we have surrounding elections in Connecticut and how the Democratic majority handles it in Hartford. It is unbelievably short-sighted. And so I think policies often are enacted based purely on politics and what they see as potentially political gain for them to enact election laws, which are helpful towards their candidates having a better chance of success at the polls, as opposed to pragmatic policy. And I think what is unfortunate, Paul, is that myself and the Senate Republicans demanded that when they were crafting these government elections and government oversight committees this past year in the new legislative session, we said, look, we need to have bipartisan composition of these committees. Because the people of the state deserve that. I think people of all political stripes that are logical look at this stuff and say, look, this shouldn't be partisan. It should be just practical discussions about how to enact fair and safe democratic elections. And unfortunately, what we see in Hartford far too often is how can we utilize the election laws to our gain? And how do we enact these policies as quick as possible? And that's ultimately what you get with these no excuse absentee ballots, with these early voting, what we don't have funding for, is that the loopholes are not tied up, the T's are not crossed, the I's are not dotted, and then you get this short-sighted policy where we're having a difficult time making sure that the elections are done safely, and also, more importantly, well, I would say just as importantly, making sure the towns have the finances available to them to ensure that the elections are done correctly and safely as well.
Okay. Steve Harding. Steve, keep us updated on all this stuff, okay? Appreciate the time, Steve.
Thank you, Paul. Always a pleasure, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Steve Harding there, State Senate Republican leader. A lot more coming up this here, in case you're wondering, is WICC.
There are so many in our community who make a positive impact, from innovators and leaders to local businesses and nonprofits. They do so much for Connecticut. We will recognize them with the WICC Impact Awards, and we need your help. Submit your nominations now across 6 categories at voiceofct.com. Then join us on May 14th at Fasano's Four Seasons in Stratford as we recognize your nominees. Honor those who've helped to make Connecticut better with the WICC Impact Awards.
Looking for a reliable dentist in your neighborhood? Columbia Dental's Norwalk office is here for you. Located at 91 East Avenue, our team of general dentists and an oral surgeon are ready to serve you. As part of the Columbia Implant Center network in Manchester, we offer 7-day-a-week services, including an in-house digital dental lab for same-day emergency care. Visit our website at columbiadental.com for more information and to book your appointment today. Your smile is our priority.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. Last year, more consumers switched to Chevrolet than any other automotive brand. Why? With more standard passive and active safety features than any other brand, plus easy-to-use technology like wireless Apple CarPlay, Chevy simply builds in more value. And who doesn't love getting more for their money? With fresh inventory arriving daily, see for yourself at Carl Chevrolet, 261 Elm Street in New Canaan, or online at carlchevy.com.
A.G. Williams Painting. A.G. Williams Painting. The people you trust to do the job right.
Imagine your house perfectly painted. Fresh colors, clean lines, looking better than ever. And now imagine a painting experience that's just as good. We're talking friendly painters, easy communication, and never feeling in the dark. With A.G. Williams Painting, you don't have to imagine it.
A.G. Williams Painting. The people you trust to do the job right.
A.G. Williams Painting has been painting in your neighborhood since 1906, and they know how to do it right. You'll love their team, too. A.G. Williams Painting has career craftspeople who are totally dedicated to their work and invested in your project. That means peace of mind and a paint job you can be proud of.
A.G. Williams Painting. A.G. Williams Painting. The people you trust to do the job right.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes. Stamford to Bridgeport, a few breaks along the way through. Of course, Lower Merritt is even easier out of New Haven. 95 south, just busy through Long Wharf. And 84 eastbound, a few extra cars going through Danbury. Traffic report powered by Duchess. Visit a Duchess restaurant today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Enjoy fresh food served fast. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Phone lines are always open to say what you want and need to say. 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli. WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Ah, yes, and remember, you are always welcome here on the air at 203-333-9422, 333-WICC, and you can now text us at that number, too. And I know sometimes you can't or don't want to have your voice on the radio, although we love your dulcet tones, and you may not be sitting at your email, but you always have your phone. So do the voice to text and then send that to 203-333-9422. 9422. And again, one of the things I wanted to stress, and I kind of brought it up in the middle of the election issues that Steve Harding was talking about. Yeah, there was a story a few weeks ago where Stephanie Thomas, who's been on, I've actually met her here and chatted with her. I've never had her on, but she's on with Lisa, and she's on with Melissa, former state legislator from Fairfield County, Norwalk, I think, or Stanford. But Stephanie Thomas, the current sitting Secretary of the State here in Connecticut. Remember, nationally it's Secretary of State. Here it's Secretary of the State. I think we're the only state that calls the office that. She basically sat in front of her former co-legislators the other day and said, hey, all this early voting stuff, you're not giving me enough money. So somebody may have heard that segment we did last and say, well, you know, there they are, Republican talking points. No. Not having enough money to properly execute early voting should not be a Republican point, should not be a Democratic point, should not be a Green Party point, should not be a this party and that party point. It should be no party. It should be good governance. And I know the other thing you may say is, well, we don't have that many absentee ballot problems or voting problems. Well, thankfully we don't. I mean, really, you think about Bridgeport, all kidding aside, with all due respect, it is prominent here in Bridgeport, or at least allegations, innocent until proven guilty. I get it. But there have been cases in other cities and towns and in other legislative districts where 50, 100, 10, 20 votes have decided races. So I do take a little bit of umbrage when you hear some state lawmakers say, well, you're not going to have perfect elections. And I guess from that point of view, that is right. There's never, statistically, I guess, I don't like to say never, but the odds of every election being perfect and every single ballot, whether it's cast at a polling place or a ballot box or an early drop box or with an absentee ballot, yeah, I guess we'd all like that to be perfect, and I guess it's possible, but you're always going to have a little bit of ballot funny business. You're just going to. It's a human thing. It's part of the human condition. So my point is we should take every notion, every tact, if we can, just to make sure that that stuff happens as little as possible. And again, I forget the years. I could look it up on Wikipedia, I believe I will. There were 1 or 2 years, going back about 15 or 20 years, when the 2nd District congressional seat in Congress, which is currently now Joe Courtney's seat, Congressman Submarine, God bless him. That seat, I think 1 or 2 years, was decided by something like a dozen votes. I mean, out of thousands cast, a dozen votes. So you say to yourself, you know, you look at those numbers and say, hey, what are the chances there was some ballot funny business here that was more than, or were more, or was more than involving 10 or 20 ballots here? Pretty good, you would think, in a district that may have a couple of 100,000 votes. So again, back to the point, though, I was making with Steve Harding, it's unconscionable that cities and towns don't get, the right amount of money for this. And they should come up with a formula. It should be very simple. X amount of ballot drop boxes, or X amount of people, or this population to that population, they get X amount of dollars for early voting. That's it. And if you're over this level of populace, you get more. Or maybe do it populace plus early voting or absentee ballot boxes or whatever. But again, it is remarkable here. Think about that. The state of Connecticut. This is not Arkansas. You're not dealing with the hinterlands of the Dakotas. You're not dealing with, parts of Texas where you don't see anything but, weeds and trees for miles. This is Connecticut. And you have the sitting Secretary of the State, the woman or man who was entrusted with making sure the elections go as smooth as possible. And she's sitting there facing the men and women that she used to be part of in the General Assembly saying, hey, I don't have enough money here. I cannot properly execute the duties of my office. How is that possible? And this is what engenders people to say, well, it's rigged. Well, see, they don't want to do this. It is, it's mind-boggling, it's sad, and anything to and fro in between, betwixt and between, as they say. Hey, straight ahead, we've got news and traffic and weather together and all the good stuff right here, WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes. Stamford to Bridgeport, a few breaks along the way through. Of course, Lower Merritt is even easier out of New Haven. 95 south, just busy through Long Wharf. And 84 eastbound, a few extra cars going through Danbury. Traffic report powered by Duchess. Visit a Duchess restaurant today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Enjoy fresh food served fast. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Hi, Jonathan Carbuti with Carbuti Real Estate. If you're thinking about selling your home, write this number down. 203-980-6886. Again, that's 203-980-6886. Whether it's a divorce, upsizing, downsizing, or even probate, we can help with any of your real estate needs. We can even give you a cash offer for your home. Call us today and experience the Carbuti difference.
Sell your home smoothly when you call Carbuti. Go to CarBeautyRealEstate.com.
Discover the finest flooring in Southern Connecticut at Courtesy Carpet. With over 50 years experience, we've got your flooring needs covered. From intricate area rugs, durable vinyl and laminate to elegant stair runners. Shop anywhere, but make sure to see us before you buy. Visit CourtesyCarpet.com to explore our extensive selection. Visit Ellen, Jay, and the team at Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. Trust us, the experts in quality flooring. Because at Courtesy Carpet, your satisfaction is our courtesy.
AB's Falafel announces this $16 weekday lunch special. Come for lunch and enjoy the most flavorful falafel sandwich, chicken shawarma sandwich, or beef shawarma sandwich, all served on a fresh pita with fries and a soda for only $16. AB's Falafel is consistently voted best Middle Eastern food in Connecticut. Now offering a complete weekday lunch special for only $16. Come have lunch at AB's Falafel, 10 Broadway Road, Trumbull, and absfalafel.com.
How do you define excellence? Is it discovering breakthrough medicine? Having world-renowned experts from Yale School of Medicine? Or is it recognition for extraordinary care? Yale New Haven Hospital is nationally ranked by U.S. News & World Report in an impressive 11 specialties. So however you define excellence, you don't have to look far. In fact, one of the nation's best is right here, where you live. Yale New Haven Health.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News special report. President Trump spoke today about the Oval Office shouting match last Friday with Ukraine's President Zelensky.
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe.
Europe rallied around Zelensky over the weekend, promising continued support.
This country really was like the fence on the border. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden, because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist.
Asked if the minerals deal with Ukraine is dead, the president said, I don't think so. On tariffs?
Very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start.
Trump said there is no room left for Mexico or Canada to avoid the tariffs. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Your top news story of the afternoon. Groton Democratic State Representative Andre Bumgardner was arrested for reckless driving and DUI. Police say Bumgardner was taken into custody early yesterday morning by Groton police and was released after being booked. House Speaker Matt Ritter says Bumgardner has been suspended from his assistant majority leader position and from his committee assignments. Bumgardner later issued a statement apologizing for the undisclosed actions that led to his arrest. In a CNN interview yesterday on State of the Nation, Senator Chris Murphy said the White House is, quote, an arm of the Kremlin. His comments followed Friday's Oval Office clash between President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Connecticut Democrat said Trump and his national security team are using Kremlin talking points on a daily basis. A rally took place earlier this morning with Connecticut veterans and VA employees protesting recent job cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The layoffs are a result of the efforts by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, to shrink the size of the federal government. The VA office dismissed over 1,400 employees last week. According to the VA, the cut employees were on probationary status and had served less than 2 years in their positions. A lawsuit could derail an effort by the city of Stamford to buy a former YMCA property. The YMCA on Washington Boulevard has been closed for around a year and shares a building with the Lloyd Hotel. The lawsuit is filed by the owner of the hotel, alleging that the YMCA violated an agreement with the decision to sell to the city. The suit claims that Lloyd owner RMS Hotels has the right of first offer to buy the YMCA and seeks an injunction to stop the sale. Connecticut officials are preparing for the possible loss of federal funding for school meals in the state. Recent efforts by the Trump administration to freeze funds for various programs have raised concerns that school meals could face cuts. State officials say it appears that school meal money is safe for now, and they are monitoring the situation for any possible changes. They say studies show that students who participate in school breakfast programs have better academic performance and attendance. Stratford planners have again rejected the proposed 129-unit apartment complex at the Merritt 8 Corporate Park. The developer has been seeking to build a 4-story apartment building at the complex on Hawley Lane. Town planners have rejected the proposal over concerns about the impact it could have on area wetlands. Over 700 Stratford residents have signed a petition seeking to block the project and recommending that the property be sold to a land trust. This morning, Governor Ned Lamont held a press conference where one of the talking points was to announce a plan to eliminate fees that workers in certain professions must pay to acquire occupational licenses. The plan would also eliminate the fees associated with renewing those licenses. That was a big point in the governor's budget address in February, in which he proposed this measure as a way of keeping workers here in the state.
College or not, we need you here. It'll make it easier for you to stay here. I say that to nurses and dental hygienists and therapists and electricians and plumbers and HVAC and sheet metal workers and teachers. We're eliminating all your licensing fees. Eliminating them. It's another reason to start your career in Connecticut. Another reason to stay in Connecticut.
If approved by the General Assembly, the plan would save Connecticut taxpayers almost $19 million in 2026 and $25 million in 2027. The bill would impact workers in a variety of fields, such as education, healthcare, and skilled labor. The state legislature is considering a bill that would ban bird hunting in the Morris Cove section of New Haven. Residents in the Shoreline neighborhood say people firing guns at waterfowl from boats are impacting their quality of life. Mayor Justin Elliker has expressed support for the bill, saying hunting should not take place in a densely populated city like New Haven. The bill is currently being considered by the legislature's Environment Committee. And a 240-space parking garage in downtown Bridgeport that closed in 2023 for renovations is set to reopen this month. The 90,000-square-foot City Trust garage has received around $2 million in renovations. The work was performed after the city urged the new property owner to address crumbling concrete, lighting problems, and other issues. City officials are pleased the garage will again provide a safe and affordable downtown parking option. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, 40 minutes. Stanford to Bridgeport, a few breaks along the way through. Of course, Lower Merritt is even easier out of New Haven. 95 south, just busy through Long Wharf. And 84 eastbound, a few extra cars going through Danbury. Traffic report powered by Duchess. Visit a Duchess restaurant today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Enjoy fresh food served fast. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday. It will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Our phone lines are always open. 203-333-9422. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9. The voice of Connecticut.
All right. Great to have you with us. Hey, coming up, our first appearance in a while from our usual Monday contributor, Terry Cowgill. You can reach him and read him at the Connecticut News Junkie, ctnewsjunkie.com, and he also publishes on Substack, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. By the way, I just got a note from the bigger boss. There's boss, there's bigger boss, there's bigger boss, and as my father's customers used to say, there's bigger boss. Bigger boss says we will be carrying the president's address to Congress tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, I believe, straight up right here on WICC. So if you are not in front of a TV tomorrow night, if you are not in front of your computer, if you are just driving and audio will do you, then tomorrow night at 9 right here, WICC 600 AM, 95.9 FM, and WICC600.com and also voiceofct.com. Oh, and I should mention to you, if you have a computer or a digital device and you would like to, for some reason, watch me do the show, which you're going to look and say, that's him. Oh, if you would like to watch me do the show now streams live video every day, and occasionally the back camera here does pick up video of Chris Williams in the Warp Core in the control center. You can go to our Facebook page, Voice of CT, facebook.com/Voice of CT, and every day, right before I go on, I post the links, not the missing links. I post the links, the LINKS. I post the links of where you can just click on the link or links and watch the show for some reason live on Twitch. Twitch.com is a video platform that's popular with gamers. I'm not really a gamer, although I love driving simulations. That's kind of cool. If I still pick up a video game console every so often, blow the dust off, plug it in, it's to usually play like Need for Speed and Gran Turismo and stuff like that. So you can watch us on twitch.com and on the station's YouTube page. So how about that? Expanding our reach here on the Voice of Connecticut. All right. Let's talk to Mr. Bob in Trumbull. Bob, good afternoon. How might you be?
Come on, Reverend Paul. You know you haven't blessed me in a while.
Well, it's
so
all
I'm
good.
I'm old.
Come
on, Reverend.
It's all good. It's all good. We're praying. Yeah. We're praying for you and praying for the Pope at the same time. So how about that?
As long as you pray for me first.
Nice.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
And anyway, on this video thing, I got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because But I think they ought to put the camera on Chris, and you can just be out in the background.
Oh, okay. But anyway, yes.
You got this Senator Chris Murphy guy?
Yes, Murphy.
I thought it was Murphy.
No, I don't think it is, but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, anyway. And he's an embarrassment to Connecticut. And anybody that voted for him should move to either New York, Chicago, L.A.,
Now,
San
you mean to tell me
or
you don't
Venezuela.
have? Yeah, well, you mean to tell me you don't have relatives or friends who may have voted for Mr. Murphy? Now, come on, Bob. You don't want them to move, do you?
If they voted for this Murfly guy, yeah, let him go to Venezuela and take some of the illegals with him. And then the other thing, this thing in the Oval Office.
Yes,
with this guy Saleeskin or whatever his name is.
You're really trying hard now, Bob, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. But they should have asked him, okay, how much money did you give to the Biden crime family?
You're rolling it all out today, aren't you, Bob? You haven't been with me in a few days, so this is a full-on fusillade here we got going, right? All right?
Well, geez, Reverend. I mean, it's been a great
been
day
a while.
for you.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want to know, are you going to the parade in Bridgeport?
I believe I am not scheduled for the Bridgeport parade. No, sir.
I'm not going to Norwalk. Too dangerous.
Bob, on that note, we will bid you adieu for the day. What's wrong with Norwalk? Jeez, Bob. I mean, come on. I used to work in Norwalk. I did this thing down the road in Norwalk. And everybody's listening to me and going, geez, Pacelli, where haven't you worked?
They're changing the tax rules again. What does that mean for you?
So to be tax-free, you have to pay the tax on the money today and find the right places to store it and accumulate it tax-free forever. And then you don't care where tax rates go up in the future because you have a plan that will protect you.
To find out, join David Gagnon of First Financial Planners for Mastering Your Wealth. Saturday mornings at 8, right here on WICC 600.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
It's time for the Market Scoreboard Report with Ron and Sana. Now on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Stocks got hammered today as President Trump confirmed that tariffs against Canada and Mexico will go into effect tomorrow, 25% tariffs and a doubling of tariffs on Chinese goods to 20% from 10%. That drove the Dow down as much as 900 points at one juncture, finishing down nearly 650 to 43,191, about a 1.5% decline. The S&P down 1 3/4% or 104 points to 5849. NASDAQ tumbling as semiconductor stocks got absolutely hammered, down 2.6% or 497 points to 18,350. Worries more about growth than inflation weighed on the market and pushed down long-term interest rates, with the 10-year note yield dropping to 4.16%. Similar concerns about oil, about economic growth, about more output coming from OPEC, pushing oil down $1.55 to $68.21 a barrel. Gold, flight to safety, up $50 at $28.99 an ounce. The dollar down across the board, and crypto got hammered today despite the fact that the president announced a strategic crypto reserve. Bitcoin finished down $8,000 at $86,101.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just one dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound 40 minutes from Stanford going through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through. Parkway overall is a better ride. Out of New Haven, 95 busy through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross overall is easier. I'm Edge Krause with WICC traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Listen on Alexa.
And you'll never miss a moment.
Back to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
I like this bed, whatever it is. It's probably not a real instrument there, but it sounds good, huh? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Geo in Trumbull. Geo, how are you? What's going on?
Hi, Paul. I'm doing well, thank you. Paul, I was just heard a few words of your last caller in about Chris Murphy.
Yeah.
I agree with him 1,000%. It's sad because this guy Murphy is beating up Trump rather than working for the betterment of the people in his state, number one. Number two, I have to let this out of my system. Okay. This guy Blumenthal, and I'm sure you know, how he lied that he was in the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. Now, listen carefully. My dad, among many, many millions of men and women, fought in World War II. Okay? How do you think I feel about Blumenthal lying that he fought in the war, and how does that feel for a family and the son of a dad that fought in World War II who was a medic, came back a totally different man? That Blumenthal really has some gall to be representing the state of Connecticut. He should be impeached, period.
Geo, I thank you for your call. I thank you for the heartfelt feelings here, and that's why we're here. Geo, thank you. We appreciate it. Shouldn't say anything after that. Geo laid it all out there for you. Now, you may have heard that and not feel that way. You want to counter that without getting personal. If any of that hits you in a certain way, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Listen, if Dick Blumenthal and Chris Murphy and Jim Himes and Johanna Hayes and pardon me, Rosa DeLauro and John Larson, hope he's feeling better, and Joe Cordy want to criticize Trump, go have at it. Go have a great time. I don't care. Doesn't change my life one bit. Honestly. People say, "Oh, you're standing up for Trump because you're a Trump." No. You think my paycheck changes for who I stand up for and don't? Come on. The only reason I brought up, and in case you're just joining us, I did bring up, in fact, I think we can give it a little spin here, as Geo has just said, giving me a thought in case you're just joining us here. Earlier on the weekend, I guess yesterday, CNN's State of the Union with Dana Bash, she asked Chris Murphy, who's kind of been designated as the attack guy, and that's fine, every party has one, to go after Trump. Well, he came out and he said, he didn't say it basically, he said that the White House is now an arm of the Kremlin. And if you may be saying, well, Paul, come on, that's ridiculous. No Senate member would say that. Oh, no, Gunga Din.
What's your reaction to what you just heard from the president's national security advisor? Do you think there's hope of salvaging this relationship with Ukraine?
So it is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Ooh. Every single day you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war. That's essentially saying that Poland invaded Germany at the beginning of World War II. There are still facts in this world. And the fact is this: Vladimir Putin is a brutal dictator. Russia started this war. And the entire pretext for that meeting yesterday was an attempt to rewrite history in order to sign a deal with Putin that hands Putin Ukraine.
And by the way, Zelensky was going to sign that deal, I guess, before Trump told him to get the hell out. I don't know whether he actually said that, but man, oh man. And again, it's one thing to criticize any White House. Democrats do it all the time. Republicans do it all the time. They point fingers, they scream and yell. We love that. That's the body politic. Arm of the Kremlin? I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but then again, I'm not Mr. Murphy, who was a member of the most powerful, deliberative body maybe in the world. The amount of power concentrated in the 100 men and women, Democrats and Republicans, who call the U.S. Senate their current employers. Pretty darn incredible. Jerry in Stratford is with us. Jerry, good afternoon, sir, and how are you?
Hey, Paul, about a month or so ago, we had an extremely brief conversation where I had asked whether or not you thought the media had learned its lesson after lying to us about, Joe Biden's fit as a fiddle, sharp as a tack, after lying about the Hunter Biden laptop and hiding it, and all the other media scandals in terms of bias by omission. And I think you said no.
No.
And so let's fast forward to today.
Yeah.
How many, and by the way, Chris Murphy's tweet about, Zelensky shouldn't take this deal.
Yeah, he was in the meeting. I had a meeting with him. Yeah.
So my question is, in the context of this latest dust-up, how many news organizations do you think of the legacy media, ABC, NBC, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post, etc., maybe the Post has changed, how many will push back on Chris Murphy? How many will push back on this other guy, Seth Moulton, and say, prove your case? How many will ask him, hey, wait a minute, Barack Obama mocked Mitt Romney for claiming Russia was the number one?
Yeah, remember that?
And Hillary Clinton signed off on Uranium One to Russian. So my question is, what is the status of them? Have they learned anything, or will they still allow what I think to be a reprobate like Chris Murphy to come on and just spout what I would say are Zelensky talking points? What I would say are are Palestinian talking points, or just spew hate without any pushback.
What I think, Jerry, I got a bunch of calls here I got to get to. To your point, what I think is happening now on the national sea where the networks is, and I do have a little experience in that end. You might have executive producers or national news directors say, hey, just report. If you're a reporter, quote unquote, just report who said what about whom, and we'll let, the talking heads bandy that about. Because I caution people all the time, right? Meet the Press is not a news program. Fox News Sunday is not a news program. ABC's This Week is not a news program. Sean Hannity is not a news program. Rachel Maddow was not a news program. There's a difference between news and opinion. And what I have seen now in some of the journalistic or the reportage, some of the stuff that I follow online, is that because of now the Trump years and the descending belief that people have in the media, is you've got national news directors telling their news people, just report the facts, don't put your spin on it. And frankly, Jerry, to your story, I haven't seen a whole lot of people pick up Chris Murphy's Kremlin talking, of arm of the Kremlin thing here. I don't know. Are they steering clear of it? I don't know. But he is clearly the Dems' attack dog here. And listen, somebody's got to be somebody's attack dog, so why not? And let's wrap up the hour with Dave in Stony Brook on Long Island. Dave, how are you, sir?
Good, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
I'm someone who supported Trump, and I think overall he has a good plan for America. He's going about it too quickly, too radical, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to come there with a sledgehammer right away. You should be very careful about what you do. Review everything, and then see what's waste, and then decide. Be more deliberative,
Yes. I've always said, Dave, I much prefer a scalpel than a sledgehammer. Yes, because the sledgehammer causes more. What's the phrase I'm looking for? Collateral damage.
Exactly. And regarding the thing that Chris Murphy said, that's a very extreme thing to say. He's definitely not an arm of the Kremlin. That's ridiculous. But, he does, I think, possibly, though, Trump is going towards the direction more of, like, being a little bit too accommodating, let's say.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Dave, thank you. Appreciate it. And again, I think there's kind of a method to the madness here. Look, as we mentioned earlier in the show, everybody knows what Vladimir Putin is, right? I mean, Trump is saying stuff that's not going to change anybody's mind. But they must be having meetings going, how do we get this guy to the table? Does it mean I have to say that, I have to come down on Zelensky? Now, personally, I wouldn't do that. But again, this all loops back to, how do you end this? Or does this go on for us like what happened in Afghanistan for 20 years? Or what's still happening in with the Koreas? I don't know. At least Trump saying what he said. As much as I looked up to the screen and went, oh, no. What? You know what? At least it's got people talking about a really bad situation.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound 40 minutes from Stamford going through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through. Parkway overall is a better ride. Out of New Haven, 95 busy through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross overall is easier. I'm Edge Krause with WICC traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Stratford's popular restaurant week is going on now through Saturday, March 8th. Stratford restaurants are teaming up to showcase and celebrate the best of Stratford's dining scene. Enter to win hundreds of dollars worth of Stratford restaurant gift cards with the Golden Fork Award. For more information, go to stratfordct.gov/restaurant-week. Stratford Restaurant Week is grateful to their sponsor, the Stratford Economic and Community Development Commission.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at betternestegg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to betternestegg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
All right, in mere seconds, local news, top of the hour, CBS News, top of the hour, traffic and weather together. You know the only place in Fairfield County to get all that.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump says there is no room left for Mexico or Canada, and tariffs of up to 25% will go into effect tomorrow.
It's a very powerful weapon that politicians haven't used because they were either dishonest, stupid, or paid off in some other form. and now we're using them.
CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
I think that investors, or at least the twitchy short-term investors, thought there might be a deal that happened at the very last minute. But you know what? This is not surprising. This is what has been forecast.
The Dow finished nearly 650 points lower. The president also addressed last Friday's shouting match in the Oval Office with Ukraine's president.
I believe that Russia wants to make a deal. I believe certainly the people of Ukraine want to make a deal. They've suffered more than anybody else.
Correspondent Nancy Cordes.
President Trump wants to be the deal maker here. He truly believes that he is the only person who can get Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table to try to hammer out some kind of peace. They think that the Trump-Putin relationship, whatever you make of it, puts Trump in a unique position to try to broker this deal.
In Britain today, Prime Minister Starmer.
Russia is the aggressor. Zelensky is a war leader whose country has been invaded. And we should all be supporting him and not falling over Putin.
There was another close call for the Pope today. Seth Doan has more from Rome.
Pope Francis had 2 acute respiratory crises on Monday, both of them caused by a mucus buildup and also spasms in the airways.
The Pope's been hospitalized for 2 weeks with pneumonia. High wind warnings have prompted the cancellation of some Mardi Gras parades tomorrow in Louisiana. Jefferson Parish President Cynthia Lee Sheng.
This wasn't a close call for us, and as disappointing as it is, it's not a difficult decision to make.
Meteorologist Craig Allen tells us millions of Americans will feel the effects of the storm system.
This is a multifaceted storm, which will be intensifying to near record strength for the month of March as it moves over towards the Great Lakes. So you've got the threat for these blizzard conditions, high winds, flash flooding, severe weather to the south.
Lighter winds in South Carolina and North Carolina, meanwhile, are helping firefighters put out flames. Wildfires threatened hundreds of homes over the weekend. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Some of your top news stories of the afternoon. In a CNN interview yesterday on State of the Nation, Senator Chris Murphy said the White House is, quote, an arm of the Kremlin. His comments followed Friday's Oval Office clash between President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Connecticut Democrats said Trump and his national security team are using Kremlin talking points on a daily basis. A rally took place earlier this morning with Connecticut veterans and VA employees protesting recent job cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs. The layoffs are a result of efforts by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, commonly called DOGE, to shrink the size of the federal government. The VA office dismissed over 1,400 employees last week. According to the VA, the cut employees were on probationary status and had served less than 2 years in their positions. A lawsuit could derail an effort by the city of Stamford to buy a former YMCA property. The YMCA on Washington Boulevard has been closed for around a year and shares a building with the Lloyd Hotel. The lawsuit is filed by the owner of the hotel, alleging that the YMCA violated an agreement with the decision to sell to the city. The suit claims that Lloyd owner RMS Hotels has the right of first offer to buy the YMCA and seeks an injunction to stop the sale. And the state legislature is considering a bill that would ban bird hunting in the Morris Cove section of New Haven. Residents in the Shoreline neighborhood say people firing guns at waterfowl from boats are impacting their quality of life. Mayor Justin Elliker has expressed support for the bill, saying hunting should not take place in a densely populated city like New Haven. The bill is currently being considered by the legislature's Environment Committee. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound accident reported between exit 20 and 21 has things backing up into Westport. The Parkway overall is a better ride out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. We'll overcross southbound sun glare delays coming out of Hamden going into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic report powered by the Connecticut Lottery. Play your favorite draw games at ctlottery.org. Odds vary by game. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day, you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points. For the last week, the White House has been pretending as if Ukraine started this war. That's essentially saying that Poland invaded Germany at the beginning of World War II. There are still facts in this world. And the fact is this: Vladimir Putin is a brutal dictator. Russia started this war. And the entire pretext for that meeting yesterday was an attempt to rewrite history in order to sign a deal with Putin that hands Putin Ukraine.
Now, you could argue, hey, how are you, by the way? Connecticut Today, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Connecticut Junior Democratic Senator Chris Murphy on CNN's State of the Union over the weekend. Look, you could say that many of the things factually about the whole thing with, Russia starting the war, which they did. They invaded Ukraine. The allusion to Hitler and Poland in 1939. I get it. I understand that. But does Chris Murphy, who is elected by the voters of Connecticut, I don't besmirch anybody for winning an election. I don't care what party you are. You win the election, good on you. You win it fair and square, fine. Does he dilute his message unnecessarily by calling the White House an arm of the Kremlin? That's my point here. I'm not saying Chris Murphy can't say what he wants to say. He's a member of the U.S. Senate, duly elected by the people of Connecticut, the single most powerful, deliberative body on the face of the earth, maybe in the universe, if we're the only ones around here. We might be, we might not be, I don't know. But does Chris Murphy lose maybe a little bit of the, what's the word I'm looking for, credibility in this whole thing? Because here's the problem. Words mean things, like I always say, like the great Rush Limbaugh used to say. Words mean things. And it's three simple words in a sentence, but he's right. And I point this at Mr. Trump and everything else. You can say that you were disappointed, as he did, as many people did over the weekend. Richard Blumenthal, our senior U.S. Senator, he voiced his dismay. Rosa DeLauro, 3rd District Congressman, she voiced her dismay. And Johanna Hayes did, and I'm sure Jim Himes did, and I'm sure Joe Courtney did, and who am I forgetting? John Larson, I'm sure he did too. But you can do that and not say, in my mind, I would never say, and that's just me. And me sometimes ain't all that impressive. But having said that, I would never say that anybody's White House is an arm of the Kremlin or an arm of the, People's Republic of China or an arm of the, Cuban government. Because you don't have the factual wherewithal to back that up. Look, you can be as rip-snorting mad as you want about Trump. You can scream at him. You can pound the table. You can throw stuff against the wall. But do you dilute your message in any way, shape, or form by saying, well, the White House is an arm of the Kremlin? Maybe you're right. I don't know. But it's pretty clear that Chris Murphy, elected by a majority of the voters here in the States, is now positioning himself, and good on him. I mean, we all want to get to a higher stage in life, higher station in life. He's now positioning himself to be, I guess, maybe the heir apparent in 2028. God, we're talking about that already. In 2028. But what do you think? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Did that cross the line? Or are you cheering Chris Murphy and saying, well, yeah, somebody has to say that? Call or text 203-333-9422, 333-WICC.
Put your finest green on and join WICC at the biggest and best St. Patrick's Day parades this season. This Saturday, March 8th, join Paul Piselli at the Norwalk St. Patrick's Day Parade, starting at 11. Get parade routes at voiceofct.com. Then load up on corned beef and cabbage and bring your entire family to enjoy floats, marching bands, and all this St. Patty's Day fun with WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
When disaster strikes, whether it's a house fire, furnace malfunction, or burst pipes, trust me, Felicia, the owner of Robin Hood Adjusters, to be your advocate. With over a decade of experience, I specialize in increasing the settlement value of your insurance claim and shielding you from unethical lowball offers by the insurance giants. Visit RobinHoodAdjustersCT.com and see how I can help protect your interests and get you the compensation you deserve. At Robin Hood Adjusters, I work for you.
Frank Pepe Pizzeria, celebrating 100 years of Abits.
My grandfather, Frank Pepe, didn't just create Abits. He created a gathering place that our family is still proud to share to this day. My mother and aunt built on his dream. Today, my siblings, cousins, and I are honored to continue the tradition. Pepe's has always been about family, ours and the generations of families who gather at our tables.
Frank Pepe Pizzeria, passionate about pizza since 1925. Visit your local Pepe's today.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound accident reported between exit 20 and 21 has things backing up into Westport. The Parkway overall is a better ride out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound sun glare delays coming out of Hamden going into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic report powered by the Connecticut Lottery. Play your favorite draw games at ctlottery.org. Odds vary by game. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Bjorek on WICC.
He's got everything you need to know before you get home. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, before we get to Terry Cowgill, who's back with us, recovering. Wonder if Terry, what's the phrase they use? Has he resumed baseball activities? Is he throwing off a mound yet? I will ask him momentarily. First, let's get a couple of these callers in because they have been waiting. Terry, hang on. Harold in Bridgeport is with us. Harold, good afternoon. How are you, sir? Hey, Harold, what's up?
Listen, I think that Senator Murphy has it just right.
Okay.
Did you hear today that Secretary of State, Defense Secretary, they stopped the cyber activity with Russia?
Well, the cyber attacks on Russia. Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, but I'm saying, they're trying to spin it as though this is something that happens all the time. Well, if it does, they never make it public. So
That's
my point
true.
is, there are so many things that are going on right now that if any past president, be it Democratic or Republican, I don't know where we'd be right now. They probably wouldn't have made it out of their office because this is crazy stuff that's going on. We all know that. And, like I said, the people that he has put into place because of the so-called DEI is absolutely ridiculous. What are they afraid of? I don't get it. What are they afraid of? They're afraid that somebody might come in more qualified than the people that they want? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, Harold, I thank you for the call. And there are, look, they seem bent here. And Harold, to your point about the cyber attacks on Russia, they seem bent here on hoping that if they start using a velvet glove instead of a sledgehammer, some way, and this may completely blow up in their faces, that Putin will play nice and he'll at least send some guys or gals to negotiate. Is it going to work? Boy, it better, because they may be flushing 2026 right down the Francois crapper right now. One more call. We'll get to Terry. Janice in Norwalk. Hi, Janice. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. I'm just calling because I'd like to say that I think what Murphy said is ridiculous. And again, to me, it's just more propaganda. My opinion about Russia is that for years and years we have made Russia the big bad wolf. And I think all these other countries need to take a look in the mirror. I'm not afraid of Russia. China is commercially more successful these days than us, but it's more of a business thing. So I think there's a lot of propaganda that is always painting these other countries, and we've been indoctrinated into that for years and years. It's always they're the big bad wolf, they're going to come and get us. But I feel that we look at our own country and look at the fact. I like the fact that Trump is talking to Putin. He should be. This ridiculous idea of, we can't talk to these guys is crazy. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I wish about Trump is that how can you have this hypocritical view of the war I like the idea of ending war and peace and all the death. We have a genocide being created by a lunatic state in the Middle East. Nobody is talking about this. And it's almost like if I say something about this, and I'm talking about the Zionists, I'm not talking about anybody else, We are complicit in an everyday genocide, blowing up men, women, children, journalists, and hospitals.
All right, Janice.
And in this country, nobody.
I do have to run, Janice. Thank you. No, I understand. Listen, people are passionate about the Middle East too, in Israel and Gaza. I get it. None of these issues have easy answers. They don't. Terry Cowgill rejoins us. It's been a minute, Terry. How are you? How do you feel?
Well, I'm better, but I'll tell you, it's been a long road to recovery. For those listeners who don't read my Substack,
what's wrong with them? Well, what's wrong with them? Yeah. Number one, they should be reading your Substack. But
I'll get a plug in for it eventually.
Yeah.
But, about a month and a half ago, I was visiting a friend in Durham, North Carolina, and he works at Duke and went to Duke, and he's very proud of his association there. We were going to the Duke Miami game that night.
Nice.
We were playing on a tennis court. We were hacking around with pickleball and pickleball rackets, and I approached the net. I skidded on a twig or something. I did a roll, and I broke my hip. And it is by far the worst injury I've ever had. It was devastating, and I don't wish it on anybody. And I'm sorry for being gone for 6 weeks, because that's how long it's taken me to feel even slightly normal.
Wow. Well, you sound great. And one of my old college roommates, Terry, in his early to mid 60s, as I am, and I think you are. He's a fit guy. Not that you're not, but he worked out every day. He blew out his Achilles playing pickleball.
Ooh. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, absolutely. And I have osteoporosis too, so I didn't even know that at the time.
Wow.
So that little tumble I took 20 years ago, I mean, I don't know, I probably would have just gotten bruised or something,
Wow. So that the osteoporosis caused it. Wow.
Yeah, I think the bone was sufficiently weakened that I fell on it and there was just nothing to protect me. So, boom.
Wow. Well,
and then I had a full hip replacement.
Oh.
And plus they had to put in cement and screws. And it was a nightmare, and I still feel, the pain. It's still stiff, but I've come a long way.
Well, good.
So I'm ready to. I'm raring to go.
Raring to go. All right. And by the way, the state Senate Republican leader Steve Harding, when he heard the promo that you were going to be on, Steve wanted me to express his best wishes to you. So he was on.
Oh, well, thank you. Steve is my state senator.
Yeah.
So I thank him very much for that.
Yeah. Well, let's give us a few minutes here. You called what happened in the White House and the Oval Office the other day. I'm sorry, Steve, but I think you're right. Performance art there. Yeah. Terry, dive into that a little.
Yeah. Well, the reason I call it performance art is that it was just a bizarre setting anyway to have this diplomatic meeting in the Oval Office. That's great because it sends a meeting about sends a message about the gravity of the situation and everything. But to have all of these cameras in there and these journalists, it obviously they wanted performance out of this. They wanted the world to see what they were going to do, and it cheapened the whole thing. And I think that, and I know you probably got a lot of listeners who would disagree with me.
About 50-50. It's about 50-50, honestly, Terry. Seriously.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and so, here this man was, and I understand there's a lot of people who don't like Zelensky, but here he was. I didn't hear him raise his voice at all, and yet he was being accused of browbeating Donald Trump and raising his voice. And at one point, J.D. Vance said, "Why are you relitigating this in front of the media?" And then I said to myself, "Who invited the media? Not Zelensky." They were all there in this scrum. Somebody asked him why he wasn't wearing a suit. And nobody asked that of Elon Musk 2 weeks ago when he showed up wearing a T-shirt and he had a kid on his shoulders. Anyway, it really gave me the wrong feeling. And this is a textbook case in how not to conduct diplomacy. So I was very disappointed in it, and I hope that they can get back to the table and work out, because I thought this minerals deal was okay. So it wasn't ideal,
Yeah.
but it obviously the whole thing blew up, and the deal is no longer on the table. The signing ceremony was canceled, and they're all gone.
It puts, I finally found out, Terry, the reason they're doing this, or Trump's thinking on this, is that, well, we may not have troops there, but if there are U.S. interests in the country, that might deter Putin further. But you know what, Terry, just a final point here, I think, at least people, because, Terry, the war had kind of faded a little bit, although it shouldn't have, into the background. Mm-hmm. At least everybody's talking about this. At least now this has really smashed the glass kitchen table here, and at least now the world is saying, hey, how does this end, really?
Yeah, I do agree with that. And, of course, after leaving the White House, Zelensky went and met with Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London. And so, this thing is now taking on a life of its own,
mm-hmm.
and it is regenerating as a big story with a sense of urgency now, I think, after this confrontation in the White House.
Yeah. Well, Terry, great to have you back, folks. Terry Cargill every Monday here in the 5 o'clock hour. Check out his stuff on the Connecticut News Junkie, ctnewsjunkie.com, and, of course, substack.com, red meat for mushy moderates. Terry, for God's sake, take it easy, will you? Let me know when you're back to, as they say, baseball activities, all right? Will you do that for me?
I never want to hear the words pickleball ever again.
Terry, thanks. Be good, and we'll chat next Monday, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, there you go. Terry Cargill, Connecticut guy, splits time now between Connecticut and the Northwest Hills and Texas. But yeah, folks, be careful with pickleball. You heard what Terry happened there and my one of my old roommates, dear friend of mine, he's in great shape. Little older than me, mid-60s, and he caught, you're wearing the tennis shoes. I guess they make pickleball specific shoes now, and he kind of, stopped quickly, and next thing you knew, his Achilles was, as they say, blown out.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound accident reported between exit 20 and 21 has things backing up into Westport. The Parkway overall is a better ride out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Will overcross southbound sun glare delays coming out of Hamden going into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic report powered by the Connecticut Lottery. Play your favorite draw games at ctlottery.org. Odds vary by game. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Are the taxes on your financial savings cutting into your retirement? Do you truly understand the taxes on your IRAs and 401ks? Would you like a future where your taxes are minimized and investments are sound? If you're nearing or in retirement, have at least a $250,000 portfolio, Bridgelight Financial Advisors can help. Call for a complimentary consultation. They'll show you real tax savings on your savings. 203-795-7080. 203-795-7080. Bridgelight Financial Advisors, your retirement tax strategy specialists.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News Special Report. It was a painful day for investors on Wall Street over worries about the economy and tariffs on Canada and Mexico.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
President Trump continues to insist Mexico hasn't done enough to crack down on drug trafficking.
Just so you understand, vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico.
How will the tariffs impact Americans? Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
It really depends on the inventory. If that product is already here and they've got a long runway, you won't see that price increase until they're actually taking product, whether it be your beer and your alcohol or your agricultural products or your cars across the border.
The Dow finished the day 649 points lower. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 were off as well. CBS News Special Report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News. Your top news story of the afternoon. Governor Ned Lamont held a press conference this morning in which he announced a plan to eliminate fees that workers in certain professions must pay to acquire occupational licenses. The plan would also eliminate the fees associated with renewing those licenses. This was a big point in his budget address in February, in which the governor proposed this measure as a way of keeping workers here in the state.
College or not, we need you here. It'll make it easier for you to stay here. I say that to nurses and dental hygienists and therapists and electricians and plumbers and HVAC and sheet metal workers and teachers. We're eliminating all your licensing fees. Eliminating them. It's another reason to start your career in Connecticut. Another reason to stay in Connecticut.
If approved by the General Assembly, the plan would save Connecticut taxpayers almost $19 million in 2026 and $25 million in 2027. The bill would impact workers in a variety of fields, such as education, healthcare, and skilled labor. Bridgeport City Democratic Town Committee Vice Chair Wanda Jeter-Pataki is facing a total of 96 charges related to alleged absentee ballot fraud. Jeter-Pataki was arrested February 21st after turning herself in at State Police Troop G barracks. Several high-profile officials have come to Jeter-Pataki's defense, including party chairman Mario Testa, who said the public convicted her without due process and she deserves to have her day in court, as well as Mayor Joe Ganim, who said through a spokesperson Friday that he believes in due process and will not pressure any of those city officials arrested to resign or step aside. The Bridgeport Police Department has appointed Paul Gretsch and Frank Capozzi as assistant chiefs. Bridgeport Mayor Joe Ganim, along with Police Chief Roderick Porter, announced the appointment late last week. Gretsch has been a member of the department since 2000 and is credited with creating an effective community-based crime prevention unit, as well as being the officer in charge of school security since 2012. Capozzi spent 25 years with the Waterbury Police Department and has a master's in public administration from the University of New Haven. Capozzi is also a Marine Corps veteran. Connecticut officials are preparing for the possible loss of federal funding for school meals in the state. Recent efforts by the Trump administration to freeze funds for various programs have raised concerns that school meals could face cuts. State officials say it appears that school meal money is safe for now, and they are monitoring the situation for any possible changes. They say studies show that students who participate in school breakfast programs have better academic performance and attendance. Stratford planners have again rejected the proposed 129-unit apartment complex at the Merit 8 Corporate Park. The developer has been seeking to build a 4-story apartment building at the complex on Hawley Lane. Town planners have rejected the proposal over concerns about the impact it could have on area wetlands. Over 700 Stratford residents have signed a petition seeking to block the project and recommending that the property be sold to a land trust. A 240-space parking garage in downtown Bridgeport that closed in 2023 for renovations is set to reopen this month. The 90,000-square-foot City Trust garage has received around $2 million in renovations. The work was performed after the city urged the new property owner to address crumbling concrete, lighting problems, and other issues. City officials are pleased the garage will again provide a safe and affordable downtown parking option. Groton Democratic State Representative Andre Bumgardner was arrested for reckless driving and DUI. Police say Baumgartner was taken into custody early yesterday morning by Groton police and was released after being booked. House Speaker Matt Ritter says Baumgartner has been suspended from his assistant majority leader position and from his committee assignments. Baumgartner later issued a statement apologizing for the undisclosed actions that led to his arrest.
So let us help welcome the newest member of the Yukon Huskies. Huskies of Honor, Paige Beckers.
And Yukon star guard Paige Beckers has had her number added to the Huskies of Honor, joining the likes of Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, and the recently retired Diana Taurasi.
Yukon women's basketball program has one benchmark for induction as a current student athlete in the Huskies of Honor, first team All-America status. Paige Beckers earned that stature as both a freshman and junior.
This came after Yukon defeated Marquette yesterday 92-57. Beckers had 19 points in yesterday's game, along with 7 assists and 3 steals. Yukon is currently the number 1 seed in the Big East and will host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound accident reported between exit 20 and 21 has things backing up into Westport. The Parkway overall is a better ride out of New Haven. 95 south jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound sun glare delays coming out of Hampton going into the West Rock Tunnel. Traffic report powered by the Connecticut Lottery. Play your favorite draw games at ctlottery.org. Odds vary by game. Must be 18 or older to purchase. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Bjorek on WICC.
Just a man who has a lot of thoughts. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli is back on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
And the problem is the thoughts are not going away even with the medication. I'm kidding. They doubled up on the meds. The thoughts got better. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Text message here, by the way. You can now text us at that number, 203-333-9422. So if, you maybe can't or don't want to be on the radio and you're not at your email, but you can use the voice to text feature on your phone and just send it along its merry way. New text just came in. Hey, Paul, Chris Murphy said what needed to be said. Why can Trump say anything and get a pass, but Murphy can't say the obvious? As far as your last caller, wrong is wrong, bullies are bullies, whether it be Hamas or whether it be Putin. I hope everyone who thinks that this is a strategic move by Trump are correct. However, for those with eyes closed, it should be eye-opening how they treated Zelensky. Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, this has just, and you know how I look at this stuff? I don't cheer for the right, I don't cheer for the left. You look at this, and I'm sitting there over the weekend reading all this stuff about, well, he's trying to play chess while everybody's playing checkers. He'd better be right. He'd better be right. And again, and this is what this is the big question now that is brought up here. What does a security guarantee entail? That's going to be the key thing right here. What does a security guarantee entail? Because Zelensky said, I ain't signing nothing that doesn't have a security guarantee. So what is that? Is that a multinational force? Maybe. Is that going to be a scenario like we have in the Koreas? Now, remember, the Korean War never really officially ended. We know that. Both sides stare at each other 24/7, 365. We have U.S. troops there along with our friends, the South Koreans. The North Koreans are there. I guess with some of the Iranians and the North Koreans just to stir things up. You know what they do? Honestly, true story. They send balloons tethered to garbage. Used tissue, cigarette butts. I say, you think I'm kidding? This happens every so often. That's how bored they are on the parallel between North Korea and South Korea. Does that, is this going to include U.S. troops in Ukraine? Maybe. I mean, heck, there are American troops in NATO. Who knows? To me, that's going to be the fascinating thing here. I can't wait to see what happens here. But I tell you, you got to give Trump at least credit for this. Whether you love the guy like Jesus, Mary and Joseph, and Frank Sinatra, and the Pope, you pray for the Pope, or you despise the guy like Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Pol Pot, Beelzebub, Lucifer, at least people are talking about this now, right? Because admit it, this thing had kind of drifted into the background. And if you had mentioned the war over the past few months, it would have been, oh, yeah, Ukraine. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's still going on, yeah. Let's go to Tom in Derby. He's been hanging on. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, and don't forget Vlad the Impaler, Huey Long, and Father Kaufman. They got to be mentioned, too.
Huey Long. Wow. I tell you, one of the best books I ever read, Tom, Kingfish, about Huey Long. What a great book. Oh, my God.
Well, I thought that was about the guy that played him on that TV show. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Since you haven't mentioned it, I'll mention it. I was 17 in 1962 watching Adlai Stevenson confront the Russian with, do you or do you not have the missiles in Cuba?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Okay.
Ambassador Zorin, I believe, he brought the pictures right out in the UN.
Okay. Where does the term, whether it's still the same term or a new one, where, in your way of explaining it, does brinksmanship, I repeat, brinksmanship, fit into this foray? Thank you. That's
all right. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Yeah, that again, there are numerous, and he's referring to, if you've never seen it, you can find it on YouTube. It is back in the Cuban Missile Crisis when Adlai Stevenson was the U.S. ambassador to the UN, and everybody thought he was done. He was washed up. JFK still trusted him. And it was a seminal moment in American history when the Russians were there laughing, and we broke out pictures. And it was really the U.S. standing up to and staring down Russia in the UN saying, here's the deal here. You've got missiles there, and we know it. That way, brinksmanship, knowing what the cards you can play, very important here. Is that what Trump's trying to do? I don't know. Ed and Trumbull, hang on. Back with you after we do this on WICC.
Connecticut Paid Leave, making time for life's most important moments.
To recover from illness or injury.
To give your employees peace of mind.
To welcome home an active duty service member.
To help a loved one get better.
To get help for your mental health.
To welcome a new addition to your family.
To leave an unsafe home.
Learn more about accessing the benefits of Connecticut Paid Leave. Visit ctpaidleave.org.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound accidents reported at exit 7 and at exit 20. Overall, on 95 North, plan on 45 minutes from Greenwich going through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, of course. The lower Merritt Parkway will save you the most time out of New Haven. 95 southbound, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound is a little bit easier. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
Partly cloudy through this evening and tonight with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers to rain by midday with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
As your day winds down, he's only just getting warmed up. You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Ed and Trumbull, Ed, hang on, we'll be right to you. This is what our last caller was referring to. U.S. Ambassador Adlai Stevenson. People said, the guy's washed up, loser candidate. Well, JFK had him in the UN during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and this probably the biggest time that we actually stood up to Russia and calling them on what they were pretty much prior to Ronald Reagan saying, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
All right, sir. Let me ask you one simple question. Do you, Ambassador Zorin, deny that the USSR has placed and is placing medium and intermediate range missiles and sights in Cuba? Yes or no? Don't wait for the translation, yes or no?
Now they're staring at each other. They're just staring at each other right now.
I am not in an American courtroom, sir, and therefore I do not wish to answer a question that is put to me in the fashion in which a prosecutor does. In due course, sir, you will have your reply.
World opinion right now, and you can answer yes or no. You have denied that they exist. I want to know if I've understood you correctly. I should like to say,
Sir, would you please continue your statement? You will have your answer in due course.
I'm prepared to wait for my answer until hell freezes over, if that's your decision.
All right, there you go. One of the seminal moments in U.S. democracy. Oh, look at this. Oh, I'm serious. As soon as this video was over, Chris Murphy ad popped up. Folks, I am not kidding you. A Chris Murphy, I don't want to say campaign ad, but he's still raising money. Love it. Thank you, Senator. Keep going. Give me show material. Ed in Trumbull. Ed, good afternoon, Ed. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good, Ed. Listen, I'm loving life, and it's too late for law school. But go ahead. Yeah.
That's it. One of the previous callers mentioned all the cameras in the interview with Zelensky, and I definitely agree with him. It was kind of unnecessary but we all know how Trump is. He's a showman. He likes to make a big spectacle out of everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that, I see is Trump for 40 years, even before he ran for president, way back in the 70s, even mid to late 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s, before he even took on politics, he was talking about taking America first. America has to be treated first. We need a politician that'll do it. And eventually I feel like he stepped up to the plate. So his whole campaign has always been America first. And now we're trying to get money back into America and less on spending on useless stuff, stuff that we don't need, whatever, transgender lizards down in Guatemala, whatever the case, they're finding all this wasteful spending. And, we've given Ukraine billions of dollars. And now it's, we're trying to offer them a peace deal. And Zelensky kind of comes on and says, well, I want more money. And it's like, we'll be working on a ceasefire, not more money to continue the war.
And Ed, you're right. Ed, I do have to run. I'm up against the time-wise. Ed, thank you so much. Appreciate the call, Ed and Trumbull there. This is really complicated. It really is. Now, you could say it's simple. On some levels it is, and on some levels it's really not. Look. The bottom line is, even for folks who hate Trump, and I got to tell you, sometimes he does stuff and I go, oh, my God. Oh, can somebody bring back George W. Bush? Just kidding. I know. He's a rhino. Take it easy. But at least this is being talked about right now. And it's weird because even about a month ago, I was watching a story, and you know, one of my side jobs, I anchor news on the weekend at a major network, and almost every week I do that. Almost every hour, there's a wire service story about what happened the previous night. More exchanges of fire between Ukrainian and Russian forces. X amount of people killed in Ukraine. X amount of people killed in Russia. And Ukraine is controlling a certain area of Russia. And now both sides apparently are going to prisons to get guys out. And, you know, I said to myself about a month ago, I said, geez, how is this going to end? And if you're Putin, do you even want to end this? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, here's a guy, if you ever listen to his interviews, and there are interviews out there with Putin. I mean, he has sat down with journalists, with Western journalists, with Eastern journalists, and he is very much, and he makes no bones about this, one of his goals, and I encourage you to go on YouTube and watch some of this stuff. He's an old KGB guy, and he makes no bones about the fact that he pines and misses the old Russia. Not the old Russia, the old USSR. And believe me, I'm not saying this to justify anything he's doing, but he's fascinating to listen to because he's essentially a dictator. Whatever elections they have, they're sham elections. He's going to be a leader for as long as he can do it physically. They say the guy that may succeed him is even worse, if you can believe that. But this guy pines for the old Soviet Union. He has a lingering anger toward America that his point was, as many Russians do, that, hey, going back to the Reagan years, we broke up the USSR, but we didn't get any help from America or Europe after that. Again, I'm not saying this is valid or not, but you got to get into the way this guy thinks. He talks constantly about, I guess his father was killed in World War II. There are some issues there, experts say. And the problem with Russia is, and the problem, and this is what makes them completely different than China. I mean, listen, you know I've said this on the show all the time. As dynamic as the Chinese economy may be, they're a communist nation. There's no free expression in China. You and I know that. Russia is a repressionist regime, and they've got no economy, too. That's the other thing that drives Putin's thinking here, and the hardliners under him. Russia, as has been told to me on this show by experts and stuff I read and listen to and documentaries, you know what they say? Russia's a big gas station with nukes. Russia has a lot of oil. They've got a lot of mineral reserves. But beyond that, I mean, don't believe me. Look it up if you want. Beyond that, what does Russia export as compared to China? I mean, the Chinese economy, my God, what is it, second or third behind the U.S. now? But the only thing you read now, again, it's a Chinese Communist Party. You don't trust Xi Jinping as far as you can toss him and his minions there. They're the number one, by any measure. Any cyber experts will say they're the number one cyber thief in the world, number one in stealing, espionage, business espionage, stealing ideas and say, hey, look what we built. But at least they build stuff. and they've got stuff out there. Russia's got nothing. And again, this is no criticism of the Russian people. I've known many Russian people over the years. There are millions and millions and millions of Russian people that just want to go home to their friends and family every night, work, have a decent living, enjoy stuff. But think about it. What does Russia export? Cars? No. Electronics? No. Furniture? No. I guess there are some agricultural exports there, but again, as this expert once said, and I said, wow, that's pretty much it. Russia's a gas station with nukes. Natural gas, crude oil, coal, I guess, some other minerals. So when you look at a guy like Putin, the only thing the Russian people have are natural elements, natural gas, minerals, and nuclear warheads. So that's certainly in the concept of how to end this thing. But again, I urge you, when you get some time, go to YouTube or just go to your regular search engine, whether you use Bing or DuckDuckGo or of course everybody and their mother and grandfather uses Google. But just put in search Vladimir Putin interview. And you listen to him and you say to yourself, man, what is going on inside that head of his? Let's wrap it up. Traffic and weather together right here. WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound accidents reported at exit 7 and at exit 20. Overall on 95 north, plan on 45 minutes from Greenwich going through Fairfield. A few breaks along the way through, of course. The lower Merritt Parkway will save you the most time. Out of New Haven, 95 southbound, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound is a little bit easier. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and tonight, partly cloudy with a low in the mid-20s. Sunny and milder tomorrow with a high in the mid-40s. On Wednesday, showers over to rain by midday and will be milder with a high in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Wondering if your furnace will make it through the season? For as low as $149 a month, we can upgrade your heating system and keep your family comfortable. Hi, it's Steve Basso from Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC. It's time to evaluate your furnace. My team at Basso are experts at evaluating and problem solving. Often our annual maintenance plan is all you need. But if it's time for an upgrade or you're looking to convert, Basso will give you the best heating solution for your home. From maintenance to upgrade to conversion, keep your family warm with Basso. Learn more at BassoPHAC.com. That's BassoPHAC.com.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
And our producer, news guy extraordinaire, Chris Williams, just said to me on the intercom, I guess the story just broke in the media, that little baby seal that they found in New Haven has died. Said, here's my question. And I hope, and I don't recall seeing that they figured this out or what. How does a baby seal end up in the middle of Chapel Street in New Haven, which, if you don't know, is right downtown? That's like the equivalent of Fairfield Avenue or State Street in Bridgeport. How or Asylum Avenue in Hartford, or Ann Street in downtown Hartford. How does a baby seal end up there? All right, if it came up on the shoreline in New Haven or on the East Shore, whatever, or Mamogwin or parts of East Haven, I get it. But in the middle of New Haven, a baby seal, how does that happen? I hope the cops are investigating this. Maybe if there's any sort of animal cruelty charges. But that was my original thought. I know people say, oh, cute little baby seal. How does it get there? I don't think it took an Uber or a Lyft. All right, folks. Melissa starts the whole thing up tomorrow morning at 5. Chris Williams, thank you. News from CBS right about now.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump says 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada will go into effect within